Come to Sam Ash for hundreds of exclusive holiday deals on music and sound gear from the most iconic brands. Save big on professional and starter guitars, drums, digital pianos, horns, violins, DJ, and electronic production equipment. Supercharge your home studio with deals on podcasting, streaming, and AV equipment like speakers, microphones, headphones, and acoustic treatment. Plus, with 36 months no-interest financing on thousands of items, you can get the gear of your dreams right now. From our incredible selection and service to our lowest price guarantee for over 95 years, real musicians know you only go to Sam Ash.
Power bill through the roof? At 320 Solar, that power bill will be no more. In fact, about 90% of our customers report lower solar payments than with electricity. That's more power in your pocket. 320 Solar. Power up.
Just because I let it slide doesn't mean it isn't pulling on my heart until it's almost white. 'Cause I wanna let you feel strong.
Leading 26-17 live here from the Deck Bar and Grill. Bucs fans, how do you like this today? You like it? Tampa! All right.
Mike, how you feel about 7-3?
I feel good, man. I'll feel better if we 8-3.
CG? Hell yeah, 8-3, baby. Working through it. Rams next.
Your touchdown!
Evolution. Sports Talk Television live here nightly. All Bucs report. It's the Sports Lab. I'm your host, Jimmy Blake, giving you something to think about on tonight's show. Bring your passion, bring your excitement, just don't bring any nonsense. Will you shut up and be quiet? What's going on? Welcome back to another edition of the Evolution of Sports Talk Television here live nightly on Bucs Report. It's the Sports Web on this Friday night. Are you ready to go? We're going to hear crickets tonight? Hopefully not. Let's not hear any crickets. Let's not do that. I don't want to do that tonight because we got Bucs and Rams on Monday Night Football. Dun, 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 dun. Da, 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 da. Yes, I know it needs improvement. I need that sound effect from Rick Hughes, but I got to do it for you. I got to get you revved up here because how do we start off the Sports Web? Bring your passion, bring your excitement. Just don't bring any nonsense. On tonight's show, we'll have Mr. Rick Hughes from the Chief Seats at 9:20. We will have Juan Agudelo. I promise you I pronounced his name correctly because I said it in my sleep. I've never forgotten it because I mispronounced the guy's name so many times, I can't even see straight. We'll have him on at 10:20 of the Top Bucs podcast. And then, of course, your phone calls. What do you have to say? Are you ready for Bucs versus the Rams? 727-255-0391. It's 727-255-0391. Don't forget, we will be live at the Deck Bar and Grill as I'm taking off Saturday and Sunday. That's why I'm probably so pumped up. Just kidding. I actually like doing this. I love doing this on a Friday night. I love doing this on a Wednesday night. I love doing this on a Monday night. And we will be live from the Deck Bar and Grill in Isla del Sol, getting you ready for your pre, half, and post-game editions of Bucs versus Rams. Blake Anthony with some great breakdowns this week. Of course, we have Stephen Che of Barstool Sports. Love his breakdown. And then, of course, your phone calls. Where are the predictions? How are you feeling confidently with this Bucs team versus the LA Rams? Last night, it looks like the Seahawks took control of that division by defeating the Arizona Cardinals 28-21. You know why? Two things. Number one, not turning over the football. We keep on going back through it. Russell Wilson, 7 turnovers in 2 games. He got it corrected. Thank God. For my fantasy team thanks you. I do care about your fantasy team, especially my fantasy team, as they've been on the skids lately, and that's because of Wilson's play. Secondly, not only the turnover situation, running the ball. They get Carlos Hyde, who puts up some numbers, DJ Dallas, and you also go to DK Metcalf. Actually lied. That's 3 things, which they haven't done here in the last 2 games, which the Seahawks have struggled. Arizona had a chance in this game, pick up a crucial penalty that leads to a safety, and then the Seahawks kick a winning field goal, and their defense does enough. I got to be honest with you. Both of these teams, very exciting offenses with the Kyler Murray leading the charge. A lot of people put him in that MVP conversation with what he's done. Possibly. You have Russell Wilson, who I think more so is in that MVP conversation. With that being said, both of these teams don't have a defense. And I'm frothing. I want the Bucs to have that matchup, that rematch versus the Seattle Seahawks, possibly in the NFC Championship game. Let's say they don't win the NFC South early. They can beat them. They can beat that defense. They can. Carlos Dunlap, big time get by the Seahawks, getting after it. I'll tell you what, I could talk all night long. Let's go out to the phone lines. Mr. Matt Colson, welcome to the Evolution. You're leading it off here. What do you have to say, my friend?
Man, that game last night was pretty good.
I'm telling you, right? I mean, look, if you're not a defensive guy, which we know somebody who calls the show all the time, Mr. Sean the Sports Don, my co-host, who I love and miss, but then again, we don't miss the 15 to 20-minute phone calls on not making a point. Love you, Sean. It was not a defensive battle, but I will say this, the Seahawks made just enough defensive stops, especially at the end of the game against the Cardinals, to really make you think, you know what, if they could put something together, but they don't have a consistent defense, and that's where I think the Bucs can really take advantage of this matchup. Let me put you on hold here. Hold on, Matt. Whoever just called in, stand by. We'll get to you here. Matt, what do you have to say, my friend?
Well, I was going to say, they almost did they almost jinxed them. They put up the stat that Seattle hasn't lost, or 60-1.
Yes.
When leading by more than 4 points at the half.
What was the one team they lost to?
I didn't catch that part.
The Cardinals this year.
And they damn near did it again.
Yes.
That's what I
Exactly.
was all the way up to the end. I was like, look at that.
Exactly. I love it. That's what I love about football. That's what I love about it. There's always a storyline, and it always seems like an announcer can curse it. Like, oh, this guy's made 25 consecutive kicks. Oh, guess what? He's about to miss one. Good
Bounce
stuff.
off of both of them. Get a double doink.
Yes, double doink, says the Bears fan there, who I know who he is, Roger Shue, that troll with his fat fingers. Thanks a lot, man, for tuning in. Love that guy. He wants to be number one troll. You know, everybody wants to be right. Well, I'll tell you right now, Roger Shue's coming for it. He's coming for it. Ben not consistent enough. You want to be number one troll. You know, my dad, of course, I don't know if you see my Facebook post. Of course, he passed away anniversary 2017. He would always have something to say. Look, Peter Blake, if you want to be great at something, be happy at it. I don't care if you want to be a garbage man. Be the best garbage man out there. And if you want to be a troll, the number one troll on the sports web, bring it. All right, Matt, what else?
I was thinking about Monday night.
Yeah.
And I noticed I've been paying attention to these interviews and things over the last couple of days. And they are bringing up that statistic that stays in my head that they aren't ready for prime time, that they can't win after 6 o'clock at night.
Well,
and this is something that the coaching staff seems to have taken seriously, which kind of surprised me when I've heard their responses. But when we get on the big game, it's not like the quarterback hasn't done it.
Right.
I mean, he's been on the Monday night, Sunday night, Super Bowl, everything for 15 years.
Sure.
He needs to get those other guys that have also been there. I mean, Adonican Sue, you got him, you got JPP, you got Gronk, you got who are these other players? They've all played primetime games. I don't know why. When you look at the number of offensive weapons we've got that are seasoned veterans, why they can't make that stick and put the work together to be able to show up on a late game. It starts even at Brady. I mean, the last time they played late, he looked like crap.
Oh, yeah, he did. I mean, of course, that Saints game, which a lot of Bucs fans went like this. I mean, they did that. It was like curtains, baby. Bucs are over with, and now you're back on the bandwagon. I'm not saying you, but there's some fans out there that keep on kind of going after, and that's okay. We do that for fun. But
you got to go negative so you have something to talk about.
Of course, they like when I go negative. They like when I get angry and all red and fired up. I mean, that's the great thing about the sports web. I can't always be happy Peter. I got to be bad Peter. I got to be mean Peter.
Well, what I was getting at is that they can't win prime time. They're getting ready to play a team that's pretty stout.
Yeah.
The Rams this year are pretty damn good.
They are pretty good. And Aaron Donald is a thing that really gives you nightmares, gives an offensive coordinator nightmares. And not great news coming out of Buccaneer night practices. According to Greg Auman, Ali Marpet has not returned to practice, so could be a setback, although the great Johnny Dean, the professor himself, mentions they may wait until Monday Night Football. But, Bucs fans, do you feel good about AQ Shipley starting at the center position? Do you feel good about Ryan Jensen at the left guard spot? I feel good about it. I like how they played versus the Panthers, but a totally different animal here, Matt, because of an Aaron Donald who can take over games and is a monster and is a wrecking crew. And you have a Leonard Floyd coming off of 3 sacks who can get after, which I can't believe the Bears gave up on him. But look, the Bears give up on him. Another man's trash is another man's treasure. Is that how you say it? I guess. I don't know. So
warm weather has a way of bringing out the better players.
I agree.
They get out there where the highlights are, and they want to be around all the flash and dash.
Hold on, Matt. Let me take this call really quick. Put them on hold. Stand by as we're on live with Matt Colson here. I know you're calling.
The Stampede started tonight. You're not going to sit there and just talk. It sounds like people are going to be calling in.
Yes, I like that. I like when people call in. I don't like sitting here talking to myself because that makes me think I'm crazy. Although, once again, I do this on a nightly basis here, so you can definitely say I'm crazy. We've talked about worse things here on a nightly basis on Bucs Report, and I've done it by myself, so I definitely don't want to do it by myself. So, Matt, thanks a lot for calling. What else, bud?
That's it. Just go Bucks. Let's try to look good on Monday night for a change and get ready for the playoffs because we're right there.
Playoffs? Did you say playoffs?
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 Let's talk about playoffs.
Playoffs?
You kidding me?
Kidding me?
Playoffs?
I'll tell you right now, a couple weeks ago, people were saying playoffs. You kidding me? Yeah, but they're feeling good about it, and this will take a next step in that direction. In fact, I actually believe that if the Bucs win this game, of course, well, not only they're in, but there'll be a higher seeding if the Saints lose. Of course, there's some news coming out today.
Yeah, what about Jameis? He can't get off the bench. I think that's freaking hilarious.
Yeah, so much was made about it. We all made so much about it. Jameis Winston starting. Somebody to tell Sean Payton it's Taysom Hill that's going to be the starter. So we'll see how that works out. Payton may be playing a game here.
How does Jameis Winston feel right now going from number 1 draft pick 5.5 years ago to a third string that can't get off the bench?
It's a humbling thing. It has to be a humbling thing. But you know what?
W is on TV making a smartass out of himself last week.
Well, look, if the Bucs get an opportunity to get him back, go for it. I'm all about that because I thought that was completely disrespectful, immature. They could do it because the Bucs can't stop it. But every dog has its day. Okay, that's from a great movie called Scarface. I kind of like that movie. Didn't know that, but I do. So yeah, we'll see what happens with that. Good stuff, Matt Colson. Got a prediction? Or are you going to wait until Monday nights?
It's going to be a close game. I think it's going to be like 28-21.
Okay.
And that last team with the ball is probably going to win, and we better not let 76 stand on his own 2 feet. We got to put 7 guys around him to cover for that discrepancy.
Well, believe it or not, we'll have a breakdown from Stephen Shea of Barstool Sports on Mr. Donovan Smith and his play, and you may be surprised of how well he played in that game versus the Panthers. Again, it's the Panthers. Well, I agree, but it's the National Football League, my friend, which means not for long if you're not doing what you need to do. But you did tonight, Mr. Matt Colson. You came strong tonight. You came strong to the mic tonight. Appreciate you. Let me go ahead and fire those right there. Matt, thanks a lot for the call. Appreciate you. All right.
Have a good night, Peter.
All right, man. Great stuff. Love it. Friday night, man. Me and you. I talk about it all the time. People say I'm not romantic. Well, I give you an opportunity to come on with me and you. We got the lighting. I'm not making food. I cook on my air fryer, and there ain't no music because Facebook copyrights it and says we can't play it. But the mood is set here. Bucs versus the Rams a couple days away. What do you guys think? 727-255-0391 and 727-255-0391. There's an energy in me tonight. You know, you come home. I missed fourth bonus again. Dang nammit. Want to say something else, but, you know, it's kind of a family show. It's okay. Work my ass off. I cursed that time. It's okay. Sorry about that. Tell Johnny and put him to bed. Let's just go out to the phone lines. I'll quit screwing around here. Welcome to the Evolution. You're on with yours truly. What do you have to say? What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Peter, it's me, Gabe. How you doing?
Gabe, my long-lost friend. Where you been, buddy?
I'm in Oklahoma. High school's been kicking my butt.
We got Oklahoma running the stuff tonight. We got Matt from Oklahoma City, and we got Gabe from Oklahoma. So what do you have to say? Bucs versus Rams. How do you feel about it? How do you feel about this total season in altogether in general?
Well, I think it's going good, other than the fact that we got swept by the Saints again. But I still see us being a very good wild card spot. Probably about. So you've given
up.
Right?
You're like one of those fans. You've gone all cricket on me. Hold on a minute now. You've gone all cricket on me. You've given up on the season. You don't think that Drew Brees being out for the Saints couldn't possibly lose with the Taysom Hill or possibly a Jameis Winston? Come on now, man. You got some hope here?
I'm not saying that we're going to lose the division.
Okay. Well, you said there'd be a good wild card, so you basically just mailed it in. You just mailed it in like Karl Malone there, the mailman. You mailed it in at that point. I'm full of it tonight. All right, Gabe, go ahead. Go for it, buddy.
All right, so Monday night versus the Rams. I don't see as much as a fireworks show as it was last year. I do see a lot of points still being put up.
Sure.
The score I see is going to be 31-21 with the Bucs win.
Bucs winning that game. I know that you were down about the Saints game, so you have a lot of confidence. You're back on that bandwagon again, right, Gabe?
If I was a bandwagon fan, I would have joined even before Brady.
Okay.
Would have been on
all right.
bandwagon.
Fair enough. Fair enough. So against the Rams, why do you think they're going to win 31-21, Gabe?
Because the O-line's going to hold. Last year we held Aaron Donald to 1 sack. I think we could do it again this year. So even though they got Jalen Ramsey in the secondary, I'm pretty sure that Tom Brady will do his best to avoid that certain person.
Well, that's the big matchup, right? I mean, that is the big-time matchup. Mike Evans versus Jalen Ramsey. Chris Godwin versus Jalen Ramsey. Antonio Brown, please stay away from a security camera and stay away from a bike. Hell, just stay away from everybody. Just stay at Tom Brady's house forever. Against Jalen Ramsey. Yes. Scotty Miller versus Jalen Ramsey, which I don't know if that's primetime matchup, but it's possible a matchup that could work to the Bucs' favor. So how do you feel about Mr. Big Chest signing with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers? What do you think about that whole extravaganza, if you will?
When I first heard about it, I could not believe it. I was like, are you kidding me? Bruce said he didn't want this guy in here. Now, I know we have changes in mind, but he was so strong about this in the beginning of the year. And he was still strong about it even when the rumors started popping up. So I'm just generally surprised we did it. I thought we would get someone like Earl Thomas to maybe fill in that safety position.
Right.
But they're both drama queens anyway. So
well, I mean, the reason why, Gabe, the reason why Earl Thomas isn't on the team is because obviously he's a locker room cancer. And of course, you could say the same thing about Brown. But as Coach Arians has told Jenna Lane, and we'll get into those comments in a moment in care of ESPN Get Up, she was asking Bruce Arians yesterday about the Antonio Brown situation. He doesn't want to talk about it anymore. But he does say that Brown has done the right thing. So again, I'm going to give it a chance because I've been one of the biggest critics of it. And I'm not sure how this is all going to play out. And Lane mentioned something that we really didn't put into context or really think about. So we'll hear from her in just a little bit here. But so 31-21. Bucs over the Rams. Anything else, Gabe?
Yeah, I got a little stat line in my little journal that we all remember.
I
have Brady throwing three touchdowns.
Okay.
And 1 interception.
Okay.
I have Goff throwing 2 touchdowns and 1 interception.
Okay.
I see Aaron Donald with a sack, and Ramsey's going to get that 1 pick.
Okay. All right. We'll see what happens. They held Donald under control. In fact, I don't even think I think he maybe had 1 or 2 tackles last year, no sacks. So this offensive line knows how to game plan. We'll see if they can come up with the same game plan. And of course, you don't want to turn over the ball because you put your defense in a situation where they could be on a short field possibly. And also you give the momentum to the other team. But we'll see how that works out. Good stuff, Gabe. Let me go ahead and fire those cannons. Welcome back. Don't be a stranger, my friend. Okay.
Me and my journal will be back again soon.
Gabe and his journal here on the Sports Web. Gotta love it. Must see TV. All right, good stuff, my friend. Let me go ahead and get you out of here. Appreciate you. 727-255-0391. It's 727-255-0391 on this Friday night of the Sports Web Live on Bucs Report. Join the 67,000 following we have here on Facebook. Of course, live on Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, and that Bucs Report Twitch channel. The views seem like they're going up at a snail's pace. A snail on a volume. That's an old Marine Corps boot camp term. All right, there you go. Write it down. All right, let's go back out to the webheads here. I don't know if we read the webheads, so let's go ahead and read them. What's up, everyone, says Johnny Dean. Sports Web Live, love it. Christopher Cole, let's keep it rolling. Absolutely. Bucs Report says LFG. I won't say the word, what it means. Bring your passion, bring your excitement, but don't bring the nonsense. Rick Hughes is the man that he is. STS 4800. Hey, I'm finally back. I don't know who that is, but good to have you back. I think that's Gabe. Looks like no 74 Monday Night Football. Phone lines are definitely open. 3 days away yet. Don't expect them to announce him until game time. I'd say it's 2 days. Saturday, Sunday, but this night is almost over with. I guess it is 3 days. Whatever, man. I don't even know what time it is sometimes or what day it is. The days go by sometimes so slow, and like today, they go by fast. Y'all still think Taysom Hill will take every snap in that game? Not sure. but it'll be interesting. We'll be watching it, won't we, on Sunday? Because not only are you going to watch and see what the effect of for the Saints is, but if the Saints happen to lose that game to former Bucs head coach Raheem Morris and former Bucs head coach Dirk Cutter, seems like there's a lot of Bucs influences in this game. Let's go out to Mr. Gene Thomas, a Buck, which you heard, who slayed it tonight with the Tampa Bay BAE Sports Network, Christina herself. What's up, old friend? You ready to go through a table?
How you doing, man?
Man, I'm pumped up. I'm ready to go. It's Friday night. We're getting ready for Bucs versus the Rams. How do you feel about this game? Of course, the matchup, prime time. Can the Bucs finally get over the hump and play in prime time? Can they get it done versus a really good defense that you can compare to maybe the Chicago Bears, Aaron Donald, Leonard Floyd and company?
Well, if you remember back, there was a time where the Bucs could not win before in 45-degree weather or less.
I remember that. I always mention that. And they could also not win in the West Coast, and they did it in the one year they won the Super Bowl. It's amazing how trends just go by the wayside if you just don't think about it, right?
And nobody remembers it anymore. So it's one of those things that you just kind of keep it out there like that.
That's it. I mean, I think it's more of a storyline at this point because the Bucs coaching staff basically said, you know what, to get over this bugaboo, we're going to have night practices and hopefully it works out. I think it's all a mental thing, honestly. I don't even think it's a physical thing.
Yeah,
it's a mental thing.
I think they need to play and execute. I think that's the key right there.
It. I mean, that's genius.
I mean, when I look
right
at that, we look at that Saints game, and had they executed on certain plays, I think the momentum would have been different. And you don't want to go back and look at these things, but I believe that this is a team that can overcome all that with the weapons they have on both defense and offense. So it'll definitely it's a game that the Bucs could win. I mean, I went back and looked at the Miami Dolphins and what they did to the Rams, and it's possible. If you can rattle Goff, you can have him shook for the whole game.
Of course he can. And he's a very inconsistent quarterback. He's a quarterback that can get it done at times. But we saw last year there were times he could also turn over the ball in that 55-45 offensive display where defenses decided to take the night or the day off. Although there were plays by that Bucs defense, namely a Shaq Barrett and, of course, an Ndamukong Suh to close out the game, who still has made more plays than Gerald McCoy in his career and his Bucs career, in my opinion.
It's crazy that you have more memorable plays of Ndamukong Suh. I can think of scooped up the fumble and ran it in for a touchdown. He did that a couple of times.
Sure he did.
And there are just memorable plays that I've seen from him.
Yep.
The way that he sacked Aaron Rodgers this year. I mean, I'm not, Gerald McCoy is Gerald McCoy. I'm not trying to compare him to anybody else. He is who he is. But when you see what kind of attitude that Ndamukong Suh brings to his team, it's a totally different thing here.
Yeah.
The mentality is totally different.
Right. Absolutely. The mentality is different. You have to continue to stop the run, but they've done a pretty good job of that. Of course, the thing that concerns me or the thing that I'm going to be watching for is that big-time matchup, the wide receiving unit from the Tampa Bay Buccaneers against that back end, namely a Jalen Ramsey. How do you see that matchup working out?
It's going to come down to execution again. I think play calling is important. Keeping that defense on their heels. Miami was able to do it. Keep the defense on their heels, and that I wouldn't say that's a blueprint, but I do know that it's possible to keep that Rams team on their heels. And just keep in mind the Rams are 2-3 on the road. This year, so that kind of plays into the favor of the Tampa Bay Buccaneers as well.
It's absolutely a big time game for the Rams coming up on Monday Night Football versus the Bucs to stay in contention for that NFC West after the Seahawks defeated the Cardinals last night 28-21. We're on with Gene Thomas of Buck What You Heard. Tell everybody out there if they don't know what Buck What You Heard is on Bucs Report, what it's all about, my friend.
Hey, it's a lot like your show. I like that you interact with the fans. I think that's something that's been missing in Tampa sports media for years. And you're dictated to what you can listen to, and fans really don't have a voice. So people can call in and talk to you and interact with you, and you're down to earth, and you are there with the fans, and that's what we need more of, and that's what I try to provide as well. I do give fans the opportunity or listeners the opportunity to call in, and I'm always willing to listen to what somebody else has to say, whether we agree or disagree. Because again, there's no wrong way to be a Bucs fan. Just considering the decade-long futility that we've suffered. Again, I think we'll all come together eventually. Healing comes from winning. And as this team continues to win and get closer to the Super Bowl or closer to the playoffs, let's just talk playoffs here. That's something that'll bring more fans together.
Playoffs? Did he say playoffs?
Playoffs?
Yeah.
What talk about playoffs? You kidding me? Playoffs?
Yeah. Playoffs.
I'm on board, man.
I am too. I'm definitely on board. I said 13-3. I still think they can run the table, although you can't look past the Rams, but you have to sneak a peek here. Chiefs playing the Raiders this week on Sunday Night Football. Of course, the Chiefs lost earlier to the Raiders, so they're playing them. And then, of course, the next opponent would be Chiefs versus the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. That is all absolutely a primetime matchup, Patrick Mahomes versus Tom Brady. But first, Monday Night Football with the LA Rams versus the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Anything else, buddy? You got a prediction? You're going to wait till the pre-show?
Actually, I'm not sure. I'm not sure how the play calling is going to go. I'd like to see a lot of runs. I want to see Ronald Jones getting involved. I want to see him getting a lot of carries. It kind of depends on how the play calling goes.
Okay.
We've seen the good and the bad, and I think getting your run game going and involving your running back kind of helps with the passing game or vice versa. So it's going to be interesting to watch. I do believe that the Bucs are in a position, just talent-wise, that they could actually win this game. And it could be, 24-14 or, I don't know, 28-21, something like that. But I think it's going to be one of those games where it'll come down to the fourth quarter before you kind of see the difference in who's going to win or not.
All right, good stuff, my friend. Mr. Gene Thomas, a Buck, what you heard. Thanks a lot for joining me here on the Sports Love. And go ahead and fire those cannons right there. And if you don't get down to Tampa eventually, I will put your ass through a table. Good to hear from you again, old friend. Thanks a lot for calling the Evolution, powered by 320solar.com. All right, boss?
All right.
All right, good stuff. There you go. Mr. Gene Thomas, a Buck, what you heard. Let's go back out to the webheads here. You're exactly right. Talked about it. We'll see Roger Shue. Have a great show tonight, brother. Thank you very much. Appreciate you every snap. No, but the majority. Matt from Oklahoma. Big Peter Blake. Thank you very much, Ron. Appreciate you. Peter King says Andrew Fullbear, the big board, which, by the way, I know you were happy today hearing that the Toronto Raptors are going to play their basketball down here in Tampa. Nope, that's not a dream. That's happening this year. 2 tight end sets, certainly a possibility. Johnny Dean, not pretty, but guys, the Bucs did win this game on Monday against the Giants. Eugene Thomas laughing about it. Mike says Winston on the bench looks good on him. Super bust. Mikey says Jameis probably sleeps just fine at night in a mansion living rent-free in your heads. Mike, you're taking it for granted. And like I said, Rick Hughes, we will get you back on along with, it looks like Tampa Bay Ray Kennedy is about to join us with his presence. So, Mikey, I don't know where you're going with that, but, here's what I got for you. You seem so angry, my friend. You seem like an angry guy. Look, we got to talk about it. I'm sorry if that hurts your feelings, Snowflake, but we got to talk about it. We do. If he's the starting quarterback, whether he's not the starting quarterback or not, it's a big story. So if that hurts your feelings at night, don't tune in. I'm sorry about your damn luck. 727-255-0391. It's 727-255-0391. Although you're one of my favorite webheads. So, score will be 11-6 Bucs, huh? Sound familiar? Let's not go there with that because that's like a scab. And I hate to be descriptive, but I got to paint the picture, if you will. That's like a scab digging at it. Who could forget the 1999 NFC Championship game? Not me. Even though the Bucs won the Super Bowl, I should say, not the game. Bucs up 6-5. We've all seen it. Ricky Prohl is the touchdown late in the fourth quarter. Bert Emanuel rule. Bucs get somewhat screwed. Who knows what happens? But the inability to score a touchdown with the way that defense was lights out. With Warren Sapp being Defensive Player of the Year, 16.5 sacks. Much like Aaron Donald, taking over games, wrecking havoc, penetration all over the place. Yeah, I remember it. It's still a game that hurts. I still want to go back into the time machine and tell Tony Dungy to figure out a way to score a touchdown. Okay, Peter, just made it weird now. It's the OK connection tonight. 9-0 Bucs win. First to get the reference wins that an old award. That would be the NFC Championship game in 1979 when the Bucs lose. Yep. Doug Williams goes out of the game. I heard Leroy Selman. You know why I heard about this? My mother told me. My father told me. Mother still tells me the story. I never get tired of hearing it, although the result was not good. Not good at all. And of course, Jack Youngblood, who had a broken leg, yes, a broken friggin' leg, plays in that game. They go on to get waxed by the Steelers. But who knows what could have been, right? That Bucs defense that year, Doug Williams, that offense, that defense getting after it. Steelers and Bucs in the Super Bowl. Same thing in 99. Bucs versus the Titans in the Super Bowl. Sounds good, right? Didn't happen. Tough. Digging that scab. All right. Yeah, Rick Hughes is the man, isn't he? Ha, ha, ha. Rick Hughes laughing. We'll get him on in a moment. In fact, we'll get all three of these, or get two of these guys on. 9-0 Bucs win. Okay, I got that. I do. I'm 18. I ain't that old. And 9-0, another scab reference. Sorry, guys. I had to do it. All right, let's go out to Tampa Bay. Ray Kennedy, best of the Bay. Couple Ray, what do you say? And then, of course, we got Mr. Rick Hughes from the Chiefs. Gentlemen, welcome to the Evolution tonight on this Friday night. Bucs versus the Rams. What do we say here, Tampa Bay, Ray?
I'm going to say that I've been breaking down all week the Rams and, looking for comparisons and comparables because they're ranked so highly in their defense and offense, and they compare highly for second overall. Buccaneers right behind them in third place. But, something really jumped out at me, Peter, and you probably already knew this. Maybe you've talked about it already this week, but 4 of the first 5 games the Rams played this year in 2020 were against the NFC East. Now, I don't mean to take away from anything that they may or may not be doing. We know Sean McVay can put a team together, and we know they were just in the Super Bowl a couple of years ago. But I wonder what the Bucs would look like if they had started the year off against the Eagles. And then
he legally wasn't old enough.
I'm sorry, Rick?
Sorry about that.
Oh, that's okay.
Rick's having a little party over there by himself.
Well, Rick, welcome to the show here. You can join the party, of course, from the Chiefs. He does a phenomenal job not only on that show, but cooking in the South. We talk about, Bucs versus Rams, breaking it down all week. And, of course, the main matchups are Aaron Donald versus this offensive line. Not great news tonight, according to Greg Almond of The Athletic. His Twitter feed says that Ali Marpet did not practice. So we'll see if he plays on Monday night, still in concussion protocol. Of course, that offensive line versus an Aaron Donald. And then you have Jalen Ramsey on the outside versus these Bucs wide receivers. How do you see it?
Man, how does an offensive lineman get a concussion that bad in practice? I mean, I don't mean that sarcastically. I mean that genuinely. I mean, first of all, it's an offensive lineman. I understand they're hitting, but they're hitting from like a foot away. So, I mean, it's kind of odd.
I think it happened in the game time. Didn't it happen in the game time situation versus the Giants? Oh,
no, it happened it happened on the first practice after the game.
Wow, my bad. Well, there you go. And he's not been cleared ever since. So we'll see if the Bucs are playing games again. But you like to have them. Do you guys feel confident in an AQ Shipley starting once again at the center position and a Ryan Jensen, Ray?
Yeah, I mean, I would say the performance again last week against the Carolina Panthers gives me definite cause for hope. But, they're still going to have to show up on Monday night because the Aaron Donald and the defensive line for those Rams aren't going to try and make it easy for him. So on the one hand, I like the fact, I wrote an article this week on Jensen and doing the research on this swing player, the ability or the ability for Jensen to move across the line is nice to have for that depth going towards the postseason and as we get deeper into the year. But obviously, we still want Ali Marpet back as soon as possible.
What do you say here, Rick?
Well, I mean, look, this is football. People get hurt. I mean, every team's got injuries. The Rams have injuries. You get dinged up. If you can't perform, your team's not good enough. And do I believe that they can? Yeah, sure. They did last week. Do I believe that there are things they can do that'll help? Yes. Look, I expect this is going to be a bigger game for Fournette because he can block out of the backfield better than Rojo. He can catch passes out of the backfield better than Rojo. So I think you're going to see a little bit more Fournette this game.
Well, I would still say, and we're on with Tampa Bay Ray Kennedy, Best of the Bay, Cup of Ray. What do you say here? Along with Mr. Rick Hughes from the Cheap Seats. I'm your host, Peter Blake, on the Sports Web, powered by 320solar.com. Looking at Jones, Blake Anthony of Sports Talk 49 had a great breakdown of Jones and his ability to be a pass protector. I get what you're saying, but I think you ride that hot hand. The victim of all carries.
You're just committed there, Peter. You're committed to Jones.
Well, I really am, and I've been told this week by the Tampa Bay sports broadcasting legend, Mr. Alkek, 40 years of sports broadcasting experience, that I have a man crush on him, so I'm going to run with him.
Just go with it. Go with it.
Let's go with it. You know, Jones give them the best opportunity. But this Rams defense, Ray, is very tough versus the run, right?
Yeah, but also, I mean, Jalen Ramsey and that defensive secondary as well. I mean, the Rams, I made light, or not made light, but I made the point that the 4 of their first 5 games this year were against the NFC least. And, so maybe some of those statistics are padded. And, of course, the Bucs still have 1 game on them because our bye week still doesn't come for 2 more weeks. But fact of the matter is that the Rams defense, as much Jalen Ramsey on the backside, Aaron Donald on the very front line, the linebackers, they're not so much as, the best defensive line in the NFL or the best secondary, but they're strong across the board, which is why the Bucs are going to have to both play the run and the pass and make that defense play honest.
Rick, what do you say? Jones, can he start? I mean, you talked about Fournette getting more carries, but if Jones gets the carries in that running game, gets the carries good goodness gracious, buddy.
I know, bad timing. Look,
yeah, that's all right.
Here's the thing. Do I believe that they can weather this storm? Do I believe Jones can do fine? Yes. I lack some confidence in Jones when it comes to blocking. I've seen Brady get blown up a couple of times thanks to Jones. So, I mean, am I hesitant? A little bit hesitant when it comes to that. I think you're still going to see plenty of Jones. I think you really are, but I think you're going to see a little more of Fournette than normal. Look, Gronkowski's going to have to block, going to have to probably help blocking. Last year, it's not like the defensive line is that different this year from last year for the Rams, and the Bucs shut them down. So I guess I have confidence that they can scheme on how to handle this. I also think Brady's kind of smart. And has, probably the ability to figure out, you got to get rid of the ball a little more quickly. And I think you're going to see a lot of quick passes. The linebackers, if there's a weaker point for the Rams defense, it's the linebackers. And you're just going to have to I think you're going to see a lot of quick hitting passes. Then again, the Buccaneers have this penchant for just all of a sudden doing something completely different. Completely out of character. So I sure hope they don't do that. I hope they play I hope they play to their own strengths and dictate the game instead of allowing the Rams defense to dictate what they do.
No, absolutely. You're exactly right about that. And I like the game plan that they came up with versus the Panthers with running the ball over 30 times. You take the pressure off of that passing game. And then once the defense starts to account for it, then you get those one-on-one matchups. Could this be a breakout game, not for Evans or Godwin, but for Mr. Antonio Brown, in your opinion, Ray?
I mean, definitely. I mean, obviously, Tom, they'll have had a month now to get together for the timing, and Jalen Ramsey and the rest of the secondary is going to have to pick their poison. You can't double cover them across the board. But, if I can, going back to that running game, you're talking about the victim of volume and wanting to see this offense develop a running culture. And I was just thinking this week, that just seems to me, if you're going to play them honest, let's just say even if they're going to shut the run down, even if we're going to not average 4.5, 5 yards a carry, which seems to be Rojo's thing this year before they shut them down because of a fumble or something like that, or they get behind and they're playing like against the Saints. But man, I was thinking this week, I wish we still had the Nigerian Nightmare played here, Christian Okoye, or we still had like Garrett Blunt, because I say the way to slow Aaron Donald.
Talking about Ngumbawale for a second.
Ngumbawale, but the way to slow down Aaron Donald is to run right at him and just stuff it down his throat. And I know he's a baller and he's in great shape and he's going to accept the challenge. But you talk about continue doing that early on, getting them second guess whether we're running and passing, setting up that play action, and then Antonio Brown can get off just like anyone else across that wide receiving core.
Well, I think Ray's right, and I think that's something that Buccaneers fans need to realize is if you run the ball and you only gain 1 yard, maybe nothing, that doesn't mean it was an unsuccessful run. That still may be setting up future plays. You're still forcing the defense to be honest and take care of the run, even if you're not gaining yardage on a run. It's when you completely abandon the run that everything goes haywire.
Absolutely. Let's go a little haywire here with one of my favorite webheads, Mr. Johnny Dean, the professor here, on with yours truly, his favorite friend, Mr. Rick Hughes from the Cheap Seats, and of course, Tampa Bay, Ray Kennedy, best of the Bay here. Cup of Ray, what do you have to say?
You guys know the Rams are the 5th-ranked run defense.
Yes,
right?
yes, and that's why, to me, it's so important.
It's so important. We couldn't run against them the last time. That's why it became an Air Jordan game.
Right.
And they couldn't run against us. And what Rick's saying about Fournette across the middle, one of Brady's favorite things to do, I see that 100%. I'm pretty sure that's going to be the game plan, or it's going to be the only way they end up getting anywhere. If they don't go that way, then it's going to be throwing the ball back and forth like the last game was. Whoever holds the ball last.
Well, Johnny, who's the Philadelphia Eagles running back?
Ray, hold on, Ray. Let me, because I got something just for you, Ray, for that comment you were making. Run right at the wall. What makes you think running at the wall ever works? It doesn't, dude.
Well, here's the thing, Phil. Who's the Eagles running back? I don't know. Who's the Redskins running back? Peyton Barber's like 5th string. Who's the Giants running back? And we played them this year. Who's the other NFC? Who's the Dallas Cowboys? Well, Ezekiel Elliott. The Seahawks never tried to run the ball when they lost to the Rams last week. What I'm saying is, I know they've got a stout defense against the run. I'm not saying that they don't, but I'm saying is basically in their 9 games this year, I don't think they've seen but one team that actually has an established or a veteran running back, and the teams that really tried to run at them. And now I'm not saying you're gonna overcome it automatically, but I'm gonna say by trying, you just might poke and find that right spot, but you're also, like Rick and I were both saying, you're going to make that defense play that run on us, because while they're stopping on their heels to slow down and try to get that run stopped, that's when you open your play action. They come out in a pro set, 5-receiver set right off the bat, the Bucs do, and just throw it all night. Then you let Jalen Ramsey in that secondary, and you let that defensive line get that pressure, and then you're back to the Saints 2 weeks ago.
I think he's right about that.
What you're talking about doing is getting into a bunch of 3rd and long situations.
Well, that's what you don't want to get into. No. But the reason why you're the ball, you have to be successful on those early downs if you're going to do it on those early downs. But you're exactly right, Johnny. You always have to stay out of those situations. We go back to last week, 10 for 15, average yards to go, 3.8. That's money all day long, because if you have 3-4 yards you have to get, the Bucs definitely should convert those, and they did. In the Saints situation, they weren't able to do that. So you're exactly right. But you can't abandon the running game no matter how good they are against it.
You play the matchup game. That's what all coaches are doing. Mm-hmm. They're playing the matchup. Last week, that worked against that team.
Right.
Because of the matchup. This week, it's going to take a different scheme, and it's going to be different matchup. And this week, it should be Brady's crime week. This should be Brady ball this week.
Johnny, I think you're right. And this concerns me, Johnny, because I think this is where you're going to see a clash of egos between Brady and Arians, because Arians has a certain style, Brady has a certain style, and this is a Brady type of game.
This was a perfect game for them to merge, because Brady can play his game and Arians can play his game, because with Brady playing his game, that's going to bring the secondary up. You understand? To watch out for that, and as soon as they do, bam.
Well, I agree. And I was thinking, and I actually think Scotty Miller may catch something deep, 1 or 2 passes deep, because they're not going to really be paying as close of attention to him. I mean, this is the game when Scotty Miller is going to be left uncovered. This is where you'll see it happen.
Well, and I tell you right now, Antonio Brown comes to mind with all the controversy this week surrounding him. We'll get into that in a moment with Jenna Lane and her thoughts on it, what a lot of people really didn't think about. We'll get into that. I think Antonio Brown with Jalen Ramsey, the other corner on the other side who has 4 interceptions, I believe his name is Darius Williams. I believe this could be an opportunity for Brown to really step out. Tampa Bay Ray, you had a prediction on your Facebook wall, you think he catches a touchdown and goes for over 100 yards. So I like the prediction. What do you think, Johnny? Do you see Brown this week besides Miller, or Brown stepping out here in the limelight on Monday Night Football?
I started Brown this week.
Okay, there you go.
This is where I think, and this is nothing against Mike Evans, because Mike Evans is obviously phenomenal, but this is where a game like this, I think you tend to see, as far as yardage, you tend to see people like Godwin or Brown get more yards. You'll see Evans get touchdowns, but I think you'll see Godwin and Brown get more yards.
Is Aaron Donald still one of the best defensive players in the league?
Yes.
Right. So Aaron Donald, just 3 years ago, NFC or the NFL Defensive Player of the Year. You let this guy get off early and give him momentum, and then that secondary comes up and pinches down, because obviously, like we're talking, guys, we're just, we're a bunch of, Monday morning quarterbacks sitting around talking. You don't think those Rams or Sean McVay's not sitting around thinking Tom Brady's going to get rid of that pass within 2 seconds. So these great cornerbacks we have, Jalen Ramsey and the other guy, we're going to pinch up. We saw the other Rams defensive back get an interception against the Seahawks when he came under a pass and out in the right flat, a Russell Wilson pass. Now, all I'm saying is that if that's the game plan, almost like going back to Jameis throwing it underneath of Mike Evans in New England or England last year, that you let that defense come up and sniff that ball. I'm not saying Tom Brady's not good enough to read that. All I'm saying is that by establishing or trying to establish that run early, you throw them a little on their laurels so they don't exactly know what the game plan is.
That's why I think it's exactly why I think you're going to see something out of Scotty Miller. I think you're going to see a couple of deep passes to Scotty Miller, because who's going to be expecting that? I mean,
so it's certainly possible, because he has the speed threat that could definitely, open it up. And then to Johnny's point, Fournette is a lot better catching the ball out of the backfield, also to your point. So there's a possibility you could see it. But I still think that component with Jones and that speed, getting him out in the space and seeing what can happen. We saw it last week. If he could do it again, there's nothing that kills a good defense besides speed. And when you have that speed and that component,
he's got to catch the ball first.
Well, that's it. The good and the bad for Ronald Jones, the victim of volume. What else, Johnny Dean?
I agree with you, Peter, but I don't see it happening in this game, because if they continue to try to force Jones to run the ball, and they're running into that wall, and it's not just Aaron Donald, that four-man rush that they have is one of the best ever. Okay,
it's good.
I'm not sure if that's not a little overstated.
They've been great against the NFC East.
One of the best. When I say one of the best, I'd say top 15.
Right, and a lot of people saying that the Rams are the best defense the Bucs have faced this year. Chicago Bears called, and they said,
we're in the mix.
Although the Rams did beat the Bears this year with that defense. So we'll see how it plays out. Wasn't a great game versus the Bears, as that team just got so much pressure on Tom Brady. Of course, we know that's the big-time thing. It starts up front with that offensive line. How do you feel about Ali Marpet, Johnny Dean, starting on Monday night, or do you think they hold him out and go with A.Q. Shipley at the center position and Ryan Jensen left guard?
I think it's really nice that they have the option to do whichever they want.
Good point. And they may just do that.
It's really nice to actually have enough depth to do that.
Yeah.
Peter, I think you also, here's the thing, you have two good defenses going against each other. And the Rams are very inconsistent on offense. And we had Sheriff Joe Baggs on live from the cheap seats. And one of the things that I mentioned to him, and he agreed, is that we will know very quickly in the first quarter which Jared Goff has shown up. You're going to know right away. He's one guy or the other. He doesn't usually bounce back and forth, like have a good first half and a bad second half. You're going to know right at the beginning of the game which Jared Goff you're facing.
Yeah, no,
he gets frustrated.
I absolutely agree with you on that. And you gotta get pressure on Jared Goff. Yeah. Pressure on him. Then, like any other quarterback, you can definitely force him into some situations that he doesn't necessarily want to be in, and force him into some throws.
Yep.
You can get some interceptions and some big time plays like the Bucs did last year. Johnny Dean, thanks a lot for the call. Let me go ahead and fire those cannons for you, my friend. Good stuff as always. Good stuff. 727-255. 0391 and 727-255-0391. It's the Sports Web. I'm your host, Peter Blake, along with Tampa Bay Ray Kennedy, best of the Bay, Cup of Ray. What do you say?
Hey.
Hey. And they got Mr. Rick Hughes from the Cheap Seats here, which can be seen and heard here on Sunday night at 9 o'clock. And then a new show called What's Cooking in the South. Go ahead and explain both of these shows here and what their differences are.
Well, What's Cooking in the South is a fun little combination of food and everything going on in the NFC South. We cover we get sort of a little bit more into depth on the, with the Falcons, the Panthers, the Saints, everything going on in the NFC South. We talk some food. What goes better with football than food? So we sort of, I guess the way I look at it is you have a sprinkle of the Saints, a pinch of the Panthers, add a little bit of Atlanta, and a bunch of the Bucs. And that's what the show's all about.
Good stuff. I think Ray likes food. You like food, Ray?
I'm hungry just listening to Rick describe that.
Ain't nothing right now. I had a chicken sandwich today, and I'm full, and I need to eat something else. So after the show, I will be doing that. Maybe we'll cut the show short. About 11 o'clock, I'll probably eat. So
I brought this for you, though, Peter.
Yes. What do you got? Do it again. I love it.
Welcome back to Raymond James Stadium.
I've decided that every time anybody says Monday Night Football, I'm going to play that sound effect, like, that commercial for whatever that, with Lily from whatever cell phone company, every time she mentions whatever the HBO Max.
HBO Max.
Yeah.
All right, so let's go out to one of my favorite webheads using his second call, Mr. Matt Colson from Oklahoma City. You're on the Sports Web, powered by 320solar.com. What do you have to say, bud?
There he is.
I wanted to give y'all some extra credit for tonight.
Okay. What's the extra credit?
Pen and paper out.
Pen and paper. I got it.
All right. You get yourself a couple of good fillets of grouper from your local fishmonger.
Okay.
Okay. You get your Hellman's, Blue Ribbon, mayonnaise.
Ooh.
I'm on board.
Put that all over both sides of the shrimp. Or not the shrimp, but the grouper.
Okay. All right.
Now you get you a slab of the Jif extra crunchy. Not Skippy, not Peter Pan, not Best Buy. Jif. Extra crunchy.
Okay.
Wash that on both sides of the fish on top of the mayonnaise.
Oh.
And then you get Jamaican jerk seasoning, and you pepper the hell out of both sides.
Huh.
Damn. That sounds good.
Put it in the broiler for like 4 minutes on each side. Pop it out. Rice pilaf, greens of your choice, or in Peter's case, whatever.
Matt, you're doing this on the wrong show, brother. Where have you been on What's Cooking in the South?
Matt, I want you
I meant to tell you this the other night, Rick, and I got sidetracked.
Well, Matt always gets sidetracked, especially when it's about Baker Mayfield.
Matt's a foodie. Who knew?
That recipe I just gave you, I got from a guy I met on the Skyway Bridge.
Wow.
Wow.
He was about to jump after eating it. I'm not sure what just happened there.
Rick, if you jump off the Skyway Bridge, it's not the fall that kills you. It's that sudden stop at the bottom.
Yeah. It's a landing.
All right, Matt, you started this with your Skyway joke there, so you got it.
It wasn't a joke; it was a real thing.
I think he's fishing. I think Matt's fishing.
First, I want to know: were you trying to jump off the Skyway after a Bucs loss? That's what I want to know.
I think I'd been messing with my cannabis before I got a card, and I was hanging out with the The point of the story is, the guy had me over to his house 2 weeks later. Turns out he's a scuba diver.
Whoa!
He's got this hot wife, looks like straight off of Baywatch.
Yeah, baby.
They went down somewhere off the coast there, went to some place and shot that grouper. It's out of the water for 4 hours.
Dear Penthouse.
You have never had food better.
Dear Penthouse.
I'm kind of thinking the reason why the food was so good is because of
the wife.
That's what I think. I think it was the other around it. I think maybe
There's a story or a movie here that I think Matt saw somewhere online.
I think Matt's holding back on us.
I want to know. I want to know the details, Matt.
That was
easy, Peter.
Matt was on Food Hub.
That or Grinder.
Be quiet. You always take it there.
Walking right out the door.
Pamela Anderson, is that what I assume? Yasmin Bleeth? I mean, what are we talking about here?
She was a very tan, or maybe Jamaican lady.
Oh,
but she was built like a brick house.
Oh, wow.
Well, good job, Matt. You kept it clean.
I will and fire the cannons for that. All right, Matt, what else?
I don't really have anything else to say.
That's it. That's enough.
I mean, after the recipe, which you got to give it away again on cooking in the South there with Rick Hughes.
That's right.
But the story about the wife, you did good tonight, my friend.
I do have a good story for you. I've got a Baywatch story for you. I've been kissed right here on Valentine's Day by Gina Lee Nolan.
Oh,
wow.
She was definitely hot in her day. That's for sure. Another blonde. Yeah.
Now, all right. Well, once again, I'm saying the Rams are going to lose, but it's going to be a game where I'm going to be really mad at halftime.
Uh-oh.
And it'll end up being real good at the end, I hope.
All right, Matt. There you go. Matt Colson from Oklahoma City. Thanks a lot for calling the Evolution. Yes, sir. Absolutely. Good story. Let's go out to the webheads. Ray, I guess you gotta mute yourself there. You got some wind. I mean, what do you a pilot now? Go ahead, do your pilot thing.
Ladies and gentlemen, we're now ascending to 35,000 feet. We're going to be landing at Tampa Airport here in about 15 minutes, where the Bucs will be beating the Rams' butts on Monday night.
It's Friday. It's been a long week.
I love it. I'll tell you what. Let's make this 4 people here. Let's go ahead and go on to the dude. Dude, welcome to the Evolution. What do you have to say? You're on with yours truly, Tampa Bay, Ray Kennedy, Best of the Bay Cup of Ray. What do you say? And, of course, Rick Hughes from the cheap seats.
Well, gentlemen. Are we talking about food or is this like an Oklahoma invasion? Matt, does anybody feel like he heard that actually on a bridge over like a reservoir in Oklahoma?
Was it a bridge over troubled water? That's what I want to know.
Did he say mayonnaise and peanut butter and hot sauce?
That story.
On salmon or whatever.
Wait. Okay. So we're clear. It's a salmon recipe, right?
Grouper, yeah. That's
oh wait, no, he said grouper.
Yeah, grouper.
Okay. First of all, this segment's brought to you by MyCannabisCard.com
and Pepto-Bismol.
Pepto-Bismol, Rolaids, and WTF. So the story goes, Matt Colson's just strolling down the Skyway Bridge, and there's a guy fishing, and he decides to stop Matt and say, Matt.
Hold on. A scuba diver fishing.
A scuba diver on a bridge fishing, and the recipe he gives you for grouper is slather it in blue ribbon. Not just mayonnaise, blue ribbon mayonnaise. Not just peanut butter, Jif.
I love me some Jif, especially you can get the good stuff here.
But then didn't he just go with like any old damn hot sauce?
Yeah. What the hell is that all about?
So I was walking. Yeah, exactly. So I was walking across the Skyway Bridge, and I ran into Pam Anderson's husband while he was fishing in his scuba diving gear, and
who was there?
I'm walking over the Skyway Bridge and I ran into the Forrest Gump of scuba diver chefs. Like, hey, Philip Schwegler, you need to call in, bro, or something. We need a chef expert on this. Mayonnaise, blue ribbon, peanut butter, Jif, hot sauce, doesn't effing matter, and grouper.
It doesn't sound too bad. I mean,
it was crunchy. It was crunchy Jif, by the way.
I've heard
crunchy Jif.
Yes.
I've heard of Miracle Whip chicken, but I'll be honest, I had it. It was horrible. But I can't. I mean, isn't grouper flaky, delicate, and delicious? And isn't that the point? And you're like, no, what that needs is peanut butter.
Crunchy.
I like peanut butter in my milkshakes, like my protein shakes and stuff like that, but not my. Nah.
All right. Well, let's get off of Oklahoma for a minute. Before there's a whole cousin joke there, I think. But anyway, let's get off of Oklahoma. We have to, and I know this is not an NFC South show, Peter, so I do apologize. But you can tell by the expression on my face, I'm feeling a little mischievous.
Yeah.
So, let me ask you something. And first of all, the dude loves all football players, even those of the rivals, because they do something none of us can do, obviously. That said, hey, Jameis, is that an L you're eating right now, bro?
I mean, guys, how surprised were we by that announcement today? After Jameis came in, everybody assumed, even the Tampa Bay Times was saying, this is in Winston's hands. He could end the Bucs.
Irony. The irony.
The irony of it all.
Hey, well, just so we're clear, Jameis Winston, former first-round pick, lost the starting backup job to a guy whose parents were so lazy they gave up mid-name and just went, taste something. I don't know. So
the way he plays, he barely throws any passes. You can't run the ball in every play there, Tim Tebow. You just can't do it. You can throw from the pocket at some point.
I mean, and here's the thing. Okay. I mean, let's be honest. One gets paid, 14, 15, 16 million because they're stupid. And the other one gets paid $1 million and something because, he threw 30 interceptions. But it's a sign of disrespect to me, not to Jameis, but to the quarterback position. Because let's be honest, man. Taysom Hill is not a quarterback. He's like a gadget player. He's a Hines Ward.
He's listed as a tight end.
Wardell Stewart.
Right. Okay. So just so we're clear, Jameis, you lost the starting job to a tight end, bro. Not even the starting tight end.
Yeah, not a fast tight end.
And if anybody says don't talk about Jameis, I got words for you.
Exactly. Like I'm living fine here. I'm not living rent free, by the way.
I'm happy to talk about Jameis. I'll talk about Jameis all I freaking want to. You think they're not talking about Brady in New England? You got any questions about whether or not it's okay to talk about Jameis right now? Then you know what? If you're that sensitive about Jameis, I'm telling you, man, the Saints have room for you to be a fan of theirs.
Absolutely. And I tell you right now, this is not communist Russia or communist China. We talk about what the hell we want to talk about here on the Sports.
Exactly.
That's why it's great. 727-255-0391 and 727-255-0391. Dude,
wait a minute. Are you saying, see, the dude doesn't have his glasses, so is somebody being derogatory in the comment section? Shocker. Yeah. Anyway, so you don't want to hear about Jameis Winston on Bucs Report, really? Okay, so real quick, Jameis Winston. Jameis Winston. Okay, we're talking about him because right now the team that quite frankly punked the Buccaneers twice this season lost their starting quarterback, future Hall of Famer Drew Brees. The backup quarterback happens to be former Buccaneer first round number 1 overall draft pick Jameis Winston, and he is not playing after he came in mop up duty against the Buccaneers and threw 1 for 6 and ate a W and mocked the Buccaneers. Now, I get it. You don't want him to mock you, blah, blah, blah. Dude, okay, that's about as foolish as what you're saying. Don't say Jameis Winston. Hey, if those words trigger you, you've had a rough 2020, okay, bro? That's all I'm going to say. Jameis Winston. We're talking about Jameis Winston because right now the Falcons are playing the Saints very soon.
Right.
Okay.
Yep.
The Saints don't have exactly an easy road ahead of them when you factor in the quarterback options they have is a guy you really can't throw named Taysom and a quarterback who did throw for 5,000 yards and 33 touchdowns, but also for 30 interceptions. So it does affect the Bucs. It does matter to the Bucs that we talk about this because what if the Saints lose 2 games?
That's exactly right. And you got to figure coming up here, dude, that they play the Falcons twice and the Chiefs once. If they split with the Falcons and lose to the Chiefs, that's very realistic. the Bucs do have a shot here.
Yeah, they definitely have a shot. And, of course, the Bucs have to go down that same schedule as they'll have to face the Chiefs and also face the Chiefs. So see how it works out. But, look, the Saints definitely struggled versus the 49ers. And when they lost Breeze, there's a lot of doubt here still with the quarterback situation, even with the Winston and a Hill, if they can get it done. Because, like he said, dude, you try to duplicate that Hall of Fame status from Drew Brees. It's kind of difficult.
Well, you can't duplicate Hall of Fame status. If you have 2 Hall of Fame quarterbacks on your roster, there's something seriously wrong with the salary cap in the NFL. That said, I have a question totally off topic here. Hey, Ray, it says on screen, on your shirt, it says raise the what, buddy? What are you raising over there, big guy?
Raise my member with that Matt Colson story earlier.
Oh, yeah. Well, I mean,
wow.
I mean,
you asked.
And Ray is on the Love Boat because you can see the porthole behind him.
Wait, dude. Rick, keep your eye off my porthole.
Well, I've been in Megatron.
Hey, that's either a portal or Ray has a very big cat.
Yeah.
I can't believe I got you guys. Peter still lost it.
Anyway, the dude is hosting the Sports Web now. Ladies and gentlemen, call in 727-255-0391. This comedy routine has been brought to you by the Deck Bar and Grill in Isla del Sol. Yes, Isla del Sol, the Deck, where it's happening.
Speaking of up, power up with 320 Solar. Gain your energy independence. And
gain your independence. Gain your independence, and try to catch your reflection in Ray's porthole.
Yeah. Can you see her? I can't even.
I can see myself in Ray's porthole.
Rick, I'm flattered.
I hate you guys.
Hey, coming on. Hey, on deck, everybody, on deck, and I want to say that very clearly. On deck.
Yes.
Is Juan Aguadello from Tough Bucks Podcast. He's coming up. Now, Ray, again, I love the shirt, man. Raise the flag. It should be RAYS, the flag, because raise the flag.
Where you were going.
Actually, all it says is raise flags.
Raise flags.
I can't believe I said member. Sorry, guys. I'm going to exit stage right, but thanks
Are
for letting me come on.
Your member? Wait. Hey, don't you have a members only jacket?
I'm going to go message Matt and get more of that story, guys.
Hey, dude. Whenever, hey, what's cooking in the South tomorrow? We'll have the brand new recipe. We're going to call it Oklahoma Skyway Mayo Butter Grouper.
Peanut butter crunchy Gruber.
I love Matt. I appreciate Matt. I actually believe the story now. I really do. After all that,
I love Matt.
I love Matt. Matt's great. Matt brings it.
I think the Bucs are great.
I think
I love the Bucs. I love the Bucs. Matt Gate.
Thanks a lot. Appreciate you, dude.
Take care, dude.
Get out.
All right.
All right, buddy. There you go.
Let's face it, this is not the worst thing you've caught me doing.
That's sure. I don't know where the show has been, but we're on with yours truly, along with Tampa Bay, Ray Kennedy, best of the Bay couple. Ray, why do I hear some feedback there, guys? What's going on?
I think it may be me. I'm having some tech issues, so why don't I check out? Tell me if this does anything.
Can you hear now? No, I thought it was me, but it's not me. Who is
it?
Is it?
So that didn't go away right then?
No, it didn't.
It was not. Then it's not me.
How about me? I mean, I don't think it's me, guys, but mute me for a second.
Okay. Can we hear now? Yeah, I think it is you, Tampa Bay, Ray.
Well, then, guys, let me just get out of here. Peter, thanks again. Great show tonight. Join me tomorrow night. Harry the Greek and myself will be breaking down the Bucs Rams, going inside the numbers, and all the rest of the NFL games. We're handicapping them on a Saturday night special. So join us for a special Saturday night Cup of Ray tomorrow night at 6 o'clock.
All right, good stuff, Tampa Bay. Ray Kennedy here, best of the Bay on the Sports Web, powered by 320solar.com. All right?
Thanks, brother. See you Sunday or see you Monday, but talk to you tomorrow.
Yes, sir. We will talk tomorrow. Breakfast sandwich and dog park, right?
10-4, brother.
All right, sounds good. There you go. Tampa Bay, Ray Kennedy. Let's go ahead and get out to Mr. Rick Hughes. You want to stick in the lobby here for a little bit? We'll have Juan Agadello on of Tough Bucks, and then we'll bring you back.
Sure. Or you know what? I will hop out for a little while and I will come back shortly.
All right, sounds good. There you go,
All
Rick. From the cheap seats, what's cooking in the South? Thanks a lot for your time here on the Sports Web. All
You
right,
got it. I will most likely be back here in about 20 minutes or so.
All right, sounds good. There we go, right there. We'll get them out of here. Let's go back out to the webheads, read these comments. Robinson Cano fills another drug test. Shocker, as my boss would say. Hey Ray, Rick says Mike, best show cooking in the South and Bleacher Show. Roger Shue, that's a Bucs life. Pete, Johnny Dean, Rams are 5th in the league in stopping the run. Appreciate the statistics. Is Marpet back? No, nothing official at this point, but according to Greg Allman, he did not practice again tonight. So run A-gap, go 50-50. That Donald picks the wrong side, says a boy named Sasha. That's very cool. Harry, I believe this is Harry the Greek. Smash mouth football is the way to go. Right into the teeth of the D. The passing game will open up then. Mike says, feed Scooter. Christopher Cole. Rick, I don't think your mute button is working. Skyway Bridge is scary to drive on. Did it last year? Not good. Here we go. Off the rails. Thanks, Matt Colson. Laugh out loud. How does one join the video chat? We'll have to send you the link if you want to. Have to get Peter H. Blake to put the link up. Jif Crunchy. Mike says, put up the video link. Matt, not hot sauce, Jamaica jerk seasoning. Oh, that sounds good. Doesn't sound too bad. Did you know Jameis's favorite band was Smash Mouth? So wait, you mean I can come on unfiltered? To be honest, Hill only has 1 interception in 3 years. From Megatron's butthole to Ray's porthole. Jesus, where are we going? Back Baco Pizza. Winston cursed the Saints. Dude got booted, laughed my ass off. And hey, guys, says Shooter and Stash, who we had to have on there. Shooty shoots, Shooter and Stash doing good stuff as always. Got to play that video eventually. All right. So with that being said, open phone line 727-255-0391 and 727-255-0391. I know that Jim tried to call in. Damn it, Jim. We'll get you on here, but let's go out to Juan Agadello here early. We're supposed to have him on 10:20, but he's ready to go of the Tough Bucs podcast on YouTube. Welcome to the evolution, my friend, powered by 3solar.com. And buddy, we have a lot of things to talk about tonight, including that Bucs blowout win over the Panthers, 46-23. What's going on tonight, buddy?
Happy Friday. How you doing?
Doing great. And your thoughts on that game, because after that Saints loss, which it seemed like all the fans here went crickets, because I heard nothing but fans say basically 9-7, 10-6. This team will be lucky to make the playoffs. And now some of those fans are back on the bandwagon. Really an impressive win by the Bucs versus the Panthers last Sunday.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, you didn't hear from me after that Saints game because it was brutal. It took me the entire week to get over it, and quite frankly, the blowout win was a necessity for me to live my life as a normal human being. But very impressed with how they bounced back. I was a little concerned at the beginning of the game because it seemed like the Carolina Panthers were able to move the ball down the field on the Bucs, but they hunkered down. The offense played really well. The defense stepped it up in the second half, and it was a great team win for sure. And I was very pleased. I was was able to live my normal life again, because if you ask my wife, man, she didn't want to be around me.
Right. I mean, how tough was it that Saints lost? Seeing Jameis Winston eat a W. What were your thoughts on that? What were your thoughts on that Saints game? Let's go back to that. How concerned were you after that Saints loss on Sunday Night Football?
Well, I got to tell you, after the first quarter, there was no way they were coming back. That game was over at the beginning of the second quarter, and it was really disheartening. I was going there with high hopes. I thought the Bucs would learn from their mistakes in the first game and come out really with a game plan, but they look like a deer. They had the deer in the headlights look, and they just were outclassed by the Saints. And you got to give hats off to the Saints, because they came in there, they knew what they were going to do, and they executed well. and the Bucs just did not know what they were doing. And when you run the ball a total of really 3 or 4 times with Ronald Jones, that's a recipe for a loss. So it was very concerning to see that, especially because they're a division rival, and usually when there's it's a division rival game, those are really close games. But the Saints continue to have our number, and you know what? As much as I'm a Jameis, I was a Jameis supporter. Him eating W's and them going into the locker room dancing and having a good time. I get it. But the way they were dancing and hooting and hollering and hot dogging around it's a regular season game. They acted like it was a playoff win. So, I didn't really appreciate that. And, honestly, Jameis didn't do nothing in the game. So for him to go out there and just act like that, it's whatever, it is what it is. But, We'll keep that in our mind, our mental notes, and when we see them in the playoffs, hopefully, we'll cash it in and spank their ass.
There you go, exactly. And the NFL really didn't appreciate it at all, because most likely they're going to get fined, possibly could be losing draft picks, and then on top of it, the very next week, if karma isn't great, sometimes she could be described as a bitch. Drew Brees goes out with an injury. You have Jameis Winston come in and start, nearly throws an interception. This week, all is assumed here, Juan, that Winston is going to get the start with the Saints. Oh, you tricky Saints, you. Sean Payton decides to start Taysom Hill. What are your thoughts about this, and how does it affect the Saints going forward? Could this open up the door for the Bucs to basically get back into this NFC South race to win it?
Most definitely. I mean, you hate to see a good elite quarterback like Drew Brees go down, because it's not good for the game. But, the Saints do a good job of getting, good backups. I mean, they had a great backup in Teddy Bridgewater. They picked up, our sloppy seconds in Jameis Winston. And yeah, it caught me off guard. I think the whole football world was shocked to see that Taysom Hill was going to be the starter over Jameis Winston. I've never been a Taysom Hill fan, just for obvious reasons, because he's hurt us on many occasions. But I just don't believe I don't believe him to be a quarterback, a starting quarterback in the NFL. I mean, he's 30 years old. He's only had like 20 attempts, and like the times that he's been under center, he's really rocky with the exchange with the center. I mean, he's had like 3 fumbles that I could think of just by the snap by itself. So, if anything, I'm happy to see Taysom Hill starting over Jameis Winston. I think Jameis Winston doesn't have a really good record against Atlanta Falcons, so that might be why Sean Payton might have went with Hill over Jameis Winston. But hey, I'll take it. Maybe if it's just this one game, we'll see. I don't think he's gonna. I honestly think the Falcons will win over the Saints in this game, because the Falcons are playing inspired football. They're playing for Raheem Morris. He's, I believe, 3-1 since he's gotten the duties for coaching. So, we're all the Buck fans out there. We're rooting for Raheem Morris. We're rooting for Matty Ice to get a W over the Saints. And the funny thing is that they're going to play them twice in 3 weeks. So hopefully they'll get their number the same way that the Saints have our number this year.
All right, good stuff, and I absolutely agree with you on that. I definitely think there could be an effect. That's why I told a lot of Bucs fans after the Saints game, stop jumping off the Skyway Bridge. The season is not over yet, because there always could be an injury that could happen. It just takes one injury, and of course, the one injury to the starting quarterback for the Saints. We're on with Juan Agadello of the Tough Bucs podcast. Let me go ahead and fire those cannons right there. There we go. Going back to this Panther game, Brady, 28 for 39, 341, 3 touchdowns, no interceptions, definitely redeemed himself. And once again, you could see the ball distribution, which I'm really excited about. Of course, when that offensive line gives him the time, he's able to get it to Mike Evans and Chris Godwin, and of course, Antonio Brown. Your thoughts on this offensive game plan? And then on top of it, the victim of volume in a Ronald Jones, 23 carries, 192 yards. But I'm getting ahead of myself here. Talk about Brady and this ball distribution and then the offensive line.
It starts with the run game, right? Ronald Jones got it going early, and he was able to move the ball consistently. So that opens up, Brady to perform, do what he does best, and that's sling the rock around to the plethora of receivers that he has. I think what the Bucs did really well last week was utilize their tight ends, as extra blockers, but also as receivers. Gronk had that one monster, like 45-yard reception running over Chung. Running over the cornerback, and just him having the ability to utilize the tight ends a little more opens up more opportunities for the receivers as well. I thought it was very impressive that he was able to distribute evenly across the board, whether it be Mike Evans, Chris Godwin, and even Antonio Brown had a really good game. And so that's really promising to see, because, that's the main question that people, in the NFL world and Buck fans have, is how is he going to be able to feed everyone the rock? And, that game against the Carolina Panthers of that.
Oh, I think we lost you there for a moment. So let's get back to it there. Go ahead and finish your thought. I'm sorry.
Oh, sorry. So just him distributing the ball to the receivers. And it was really impressive to see how he was able to get the same amount of targets to Godwin, to Mike Evans, and to Antonio Brown. And they were all effective in this game. And, that led to a really good, impressive win over the Carolina Panthers. I mean, I don't think they punted the ball once throughout that game, which was, that's the kind of football I want to see.
No, absolutely. I agree with that. Let's go back to the other big story out of this game. Of course, Ronald Jones, 23 carries, the victim of volume, 192 yards, the 98-yard run, longest in Bucs history, rushing touchdown. Talk about him, and are you a believer? Are you on that Ronald Jones train here? Third in the NFL in rushing. I mean, he's been tremendous when he's been given the volume, right? Should the Bucs, do you think the Bucs will continue to roll with Ronald Jones here going forward?
You know me, Peter. I'm a Rojo fan. And I do believe that he's gonna get the rock. I mean, he's proven that he has the ability to make moves. He's swift. He's fast. I mean, that 98-yard touchdown, when I saw it, I'm just yelling at the top of my lungs like, oh my God, I've never seen this, before from a Buck. So I definitely have faith in Ronald Jones. I do think they should still incorporate Leonard Fournette into the mix, just to kind of mix it up a little bit, throw the defense off guard. But this is definitely going to be Rojo's show. And like I said earlier in the year, he's going to have a 1,000-yard rushing year for sure.
No, absolutely. You're exactly right about that. And it looks like he's going to have 1,000 yards. And, of course, FedEx Ground Player of the Week, joining the likes of a Bobby Rainey, a Doug Martin, and the other guy escapes me at this point. Can't think of him. I have to look that up. But joining some pretty good running back company there. It's been a long time since the Bucs have had that type of runner. And I think just going forward here, if they have that run game, it definitely helps them out, because, once again, it takes the pressure off of Tom Brady and that offense. With all that being said, why do you think the defense continues to have communication difficulties, and on top of it, slow starts in the game? You mentioned it when you first came in. Why do you think that is?
I think they just struggle against the short passing game. That's what the Saints did. The two games that we did play them, they just sliced and diced them. And, the corners, they're as good as they are. They're still young. They still get beat on the double move. So that they concern me more so. Jamel Dean, who I'm a big fan of, but I've seen him getting beat lately. He does seem to redeem himself later in the games, but early in the games, I don't know what's going on there. They just seem to have a slow start. And, I think they need a, they gotta blitz the quarterback. They gotta get Devin White, Levante David rushing the QB, and we'll see. We'll see how it pans out against the Rams.
Yeah, we talked to former Buccaneer great Ricky Reynolds. I think you're familiar with him. And he said it best that, they're going to some of these games, Juan, playing too much zone, and that's not what these corners do. They usually play man-to-man. You play aggressive. You play to your style of defense, and the Bucs lately haven't necessarily been doing that. I tell you right now, though, who's been playing aggressively and playing well, that would be Mr. JPP. Talk about that game. 1 sack, 1 interception. Nearly had one last week versus the Saints. He wasn't going to miss out on the opportunity versus the Panthers this time.
The Haitian sensation, 3 fingers, JPP, Pierre Paul. I love this guy, man. Like I said a couple of weeks ago, the trading for him was one of the best moves that the Bucs did, and he's really coming to life this season for the Bucs. I mean, last year he had that neck injury that took him out for half the season, but when he came back with vengeance. So it's really promising to see him perform the way he has. And honestly, when I see him drop back in coverage, I'm like, yo, this guy's making plays left and right. And he almost dropped that interception last week, but he was able to hold on to the ball with his 3 fingers and secure the pick. But God, let's talk about that dance. That was awful. You do what you do when you're excited,
Yeah, no, absolutely. I didn't get the dance, the whole thing, the dancing thing, but hey, you're right. I don't know what that is. Is that the shaker? Have no idea, but keep on dancing if you're gonna make plays like that. And this defense needed it. Of course, still getting over the loss of Vita Vea, but this Bucs rushing defense had done a pretty good job. Let's talk about this Rams matchup. Of course, everybody focusing on Aaron Donald. AQ Shipley most likely could start at the center position. It looks like Ali Marpet may miss this game. He didn't practice tonight, according to Greg Allman of The Athletic. You had Ryan Jensen to the left guard. That's the adjustment they made versus the Panthers. Do you feel comfortable going forward with that matchup on Monday night versus an Aaron Donald, or could it be big trouble for the Bucs once again?
It could potentially be some big trouble for the Bucs, but I think last week the adjustments that they made, moving Jensen to the left side and putting AQ Shipley, really helped the offense out, and it really proved that worked. So if Ali Marpet happens to not be able to play or isn't cleared to play, then I feel confident with that, especially if they go in there with 2 tight end sets and have Gronk as an additional blocker. I think they'll be able to hold off the Rams pass rush. I mean, it's going to be hard. They have some dogs out over there in the middle of the line, so it's no easy task. So I think they'll be able to hold their own. There's going to be times where they're going to get to the quarterback, but a lot of attention will be towards Aaron Donald, and rightfully so. So hopefully the Bucs will be able to hold their own, and the line, who has been playing pretty well, outside, the games against the Bears and the Saints, they've been doing pretty well.
Still a fan of Donovan Smith. I mean, a lot of people said he didn't play well last week. We got our own Blake Anthony at Sports Talk 49 who has a breakdown. To me, it's a good thing to see Donovan Smith even play an average game when that line doesn't give up those sacks and that pressure. It seems like this offense is totally different. And they're going to have their hands full not only with an Aaron Donald, but also a Leonard Floyd. So still believing in where this offensive line is, especially a Smith?
Yeah, people are they pick on Donovan Smith a lot, and rightfully so. He gives up a lot of pressures. But I don't know, man. I can't really defend him because he does get a lot of penalties, and he is one person on the line that is the most inconsistent player. Like one day he's having a decent game, one day he's having a terrible game, the other day he's having a great game. So he's still an enigma for me, so we'll see. I hope that, I hope because of the importance of this game being a Monday Night Football game, and especially if the Saints lose on Sunday, he's going to bring his A game, and I hope the whole Bucs bring their A game because they stink on prime time apparently. So let's pray that he has a great game. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, look, they've been practicing all week long at night. Hopefully that turns it around. Of course, you got Jalen Ramsey, Mike Evans matchup. So this is where I think possibly an Antonio Brown or Chris Godwin could go off. Is that how you feel about this matchup too?
Yeah, I mean, their corners are pretty good. I mean, Ramsey, he's gonna lock down Mike Evans, but honestly, you got Scooter, you got the old Scotty Miller and Godwin and Antonio Brown and Gronkowski. So someone's gonna get open. They're gonna double team one of those guys, and someone's gonna get open. If they don't double team, one of those guys, then someone will get open eventually. So I like the matchup. As a fantasy owner of Mike Evans, I don't like the matchup because I think he's not going to have a great game, but I could be wrong. If we end up in the red zone, then I have high hopes for Mike Evans to have some have a touchdown, a little easy touchdown there.
It would be nice because he dropped a couple passes last week, could have had most likely 100 receiving yards. How do you see this game, Juan Agadello of Tough Bucs Podcast? Bucs versus the Rams on Monday Night Football. Your prediction and why?
Well, they've been points. So I'd say 30-27 Bucs, with a close win over the Rams on Monday night. I think at the end of the day, we have a lot of firepower. I think the offensive line holds their own against this stout defensive line, and I think it's going to come down to a big defensive play for the Buccaneers. And I'm going to call right now, Jamel Dean is going to have an interception in this game.
All right, so the score again.
30-27 Bucs over the Rams.
All right, I like it there. Juan Agadello of Tough Bucs Podcast. Go ahead and promote yourself. Tell everybody where they can find this great podcast that's on YouTube. And, of course, what you got coming up here eventually.
Yeah, you can check me out at Tough Bucs on YouTube, Instagram, and Twitter. Right now, I'm just kind of taking a break from things for obvious reasons. The pandemic going on right now. And, it's just – it's a stressful time, right? But you could check out my content there. I'll be putting up updates during the game, and follow me at all those at Tough Bucs on Twitter, YouTube, and the old Instagram.
All right, there you go. Juan Agadello of the Tough Bucs Podcast here on the Evolution of Sports Talk Television. It's the Sports Web, powered by 320solar.com. Let me go ahead and fire those cannons for you. Right there. And definitely don't be a stranger here on the Sports Web. All right, boss?
Hell yeah, giddy up.
All right, there you go. Good stuff. Go Bucs. To Juan Agadello of the Tough Bucs Podcast. We'll read these comments, and then we do have a special guest. We'll get Tyler Bradshaw on, newest member of Bucs Report. And like I said, a very special guest here on the Sports Web. Let's go ahead and read these comments real quick. Yes, Peter, the new video is out. You are free to play it for the Bucs Report audience. Hope it can bring a laugh to everyone during a crappy year. Fire those cannons for the top buck. Juan Agadello, when are you putting on a new show? He told you. Tyler says, I got a special guest I'd like to bring on tonight. Peter, if you have the space, we always have the space here and the time for you on the Sports Web. I believe that Winston will come into the game. Personally, the Saints can't have that many gadget plays to let him play the entire game. Winston will be in this game. JPP equals Yoda. And JPP says Carl. All right, let's go out to Mr. Tyler Bradshaw, newest member of Bucs Report. How you doing tonight? How do you feel about this matchup, Bucs versus the Rams? And he said you have a special guest for us.
I brought along a guest for us tonight, Peter. Somebody that's got a good idea of what's going on and a good idea of good understanding of somebody on this roster as well, I think.
Oh, well, that would be Mr. Chris Gronkowski, former NFL player of the Denver Broncos, of course, Indianapolis Colts, and the brother of Rob Gronkowski, who is the starting tight end of the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Welcome, my friend. How you doing tonight?
Hey, man, I'm doing good. It's Friday. Let's do this.
Absolutely. Let's do this. And let's talk about, I want to talk about your NFL career. What's it like to be a fullback in the National Football League? And let me ask you, Chris, why is there not enough fullbacks? Why has it become kind of an extinct position now?
Yeah, I mean it's tough being a fullback. You're going to be one of one on the team most likely. Every team I played on, I was the only fullback on the team. You're not carrying two or three, even four, like a tight end or running back position. So I think it's fading away because they're looking for a guy that can do everything. You can use a tight end at this position. So if you can carry one guy that can kind of do everything, they're going to do that instead and save a roster spot. So it's all about roster spots and it's all about saving money as well. So really as a fullback, and why I stayed around was because I played everything. I played all the special teams, all four of them, and contributed on offense as well. And that's what you have to do as a fullback.
It's kind of like a special teams player. I mean, really, like you make a football team when you're able to do all those things, especially play special teams. So, talk about being a brother in this family. I mean, how competitive is it between you and Rob and the other siblings?
Hey, man, we grew up, every day was just an all-out brawl. Oh, man, our parents just told us to take it outside, and we had two rules. You're not going to punch each other in the face, and you're not going to hit each other, below the waist either. So that was pretty much it. It was take it outside, brawl it out, and hey, when that was done, come back inside, and you're bros now, man, you're family. So that's kind of how it was, and we grew up, and you put five boys in a household together, and it's just going to be mayhem, and it just bred competition, and I think that's really what led us to become really good at football and athletics in general.
How proud are you of Rob's success? Of course, I know you're proud of your own success, but how proud are you of Rob's success in the NFL? One of the best tight ends in this decade, now joining the Tampa Bay Buccaneers and Tom Brady. And how happy is he to be a part of this Buccaneer team in 2020?
Yeah, man. So no, super proud, man. I get to ask that question all the time. I'm his older brother. It's like, hey, how does it feel that your younger brother outshined you? And to tell you the truth, it's amazing to see what he's done and all the hard work that he's put in, because I've been there. I know the grind. I know how hard it is. And to play 4 years was extremely tough. So for him to go on to year 10, that's props to him, man. That is very, very hard to do, especially at a position where you're taking big hits. So man, seeing him come back, it just really brought out the light, back into him, man. You leave the NFL, it's a tough transition. You don't really know what to do. And then he had this opportunity to go back, and all of a sudden, man, you just saw the joy in his eyes again. So he's super pumped to be back. He called me after last game, was like, man, I feel amazing. The best I ever felt after a game. He's having fun out there, and he's really enjoying this year.
Do you think that he's back to where he needs to be? Because he came into the league, of course, being the WWE 24/7, and it's a little bit different. Look, I think he did a good job. I'm not sure about the hosting abilities of WrestleMania. I get it. But I tell you right now, I definitely think he could wrestle, and putting his career out there and then coming back in the NFL with the Bucs. Do you think that he's in full goal shape? Because we've seen this year, we saw the last game, Chris, the 44-yard catch. Look like the old Gronk there. Is he back where he needs to be, or does he still have a little bit more to go until he's back into full football shape, in your opinion?
No, I think he's back, man. The first couple of games, it doesn't matter how much you train in the offseason. You're never prepared for game shape. It's just a whole nother level. You're going to push yourself, so much harder. So the first couple of games, I think he was, a little winded maybe. And, I think he's caught that stride. And I know after the last game, he also told me that he hit his fastest speed that he's hit the entire year. And I think that's a speed that he's actually might have maxed out at. So he's feeling really good. He was just under 20 miles per hour, and he was bragging about it. So I know he's feeling really good. And like I said before, he hit me up after the game and said, this is the first time I really don't feel like I just played a game yesterday. So he's feeling good.
We're on with Chris Gronkowski, former fullback, former NFL player for, of course, the Denver Broncos, Indianapolis Colts, here on the Sports Web. Tyler being a little bit quiet right now. Bradshaw, one of the newest members of Bucs Report. What do you guys like more? I know the answer here with you, because being a fullback, you like the block. But with Rob, what does he take more pride in? Making plays, of course, in the passing game, or being that inline blocker that he's been so good at that a lot of people kind of overlook. That I was telling Bucs fans, you get this guy, you're paying him the money not only to catch passes, but also help your running game out. And it certainly seems like it helped last Sunday, right?
Yeah, man. What I'm most impressed with is, you see a tight end try to take on a D end, especially a really good rushing D end, and they can't do it. And for the most part, most tight ends cannot handle a good D end coming off the edge, and they still put a man on him. He goes one-on-one against these really good rushers, and he handles them, and it's really impressive. So that on top of the fact that he's also still blocking some D tackles down there, and he's actually coming across the line and blocking them, and those hurt, man. And 10 years in, it hurts, and he's still doing it. So props to him for the blocking. But, man, I love seeing the catches. I love seeing him break tackles and run down the field. And, so I'm a big fan of the yards, and I'm sure everyone else is. But, really, I think all that comes because of the blocking. It's all set up. He's been blocking so much this year, and, that leads to the big plays.
You're still relatively young. Do you ever think about, maybe saying, hey, Bruce Arians, Rob Gronkowski, give me an opportunity here to be a fullback or getting back into the league again?
So I'll tell you my story with Bruce Arians. So I was with the Colts my second year. He came in and he sat down with me and he said, hey, can you play tight end? And I'm right at 6'2", and for the league, I'm considered short and probably too short to play tight end. And I told him, yeah, absolutely. I played kind of this H-back look in college, and he said, awesome, we're looking into that. And about a week later, they tapped me on the shoulder and told me I was traded to Denver.
Oh.
So Bruce Arians has been put on record saying he would never use a fullback. And you could tell by his style offense that he won't. So I don't think there's ever a chance I'm going to play in a Bruce Arians offense.
Any no ill will towards Bruce Arians. I mean, you met the guy, you played for the guy. Talk about a little bit of playing for him and how Rob feels about playing for him.
Yeah, so I really didn't get a chance to play for Bruce. He came in, I think maybe it was a week, maybe 2 weeks later that I was traded. So I'm not 100% sure how that offense runs. I know it's a little bit different than what Rob's used to, and man, he's enjoying it. It's definitely a different atmosphere for him, and he's getting the rest that he needs. That was something that he wasn't necessarily getting in New England. So those rest days help a lot, especially when you're later in your career. And, when you're in full pads every day after a tough game and you can't recover, that's when it really starts to hurt and really, you really start to break down during the season.
Do you think that's the reason why Rob kind of walked away for a year because of the grind? It was kind of wearing on his body with the back injuries and stuff like that. And because of Bill Belichick's attitude where he just needed a breath of fresh air, and that's what Bruce and, of course, Tom Brady provides?
I think he was beat down. He was definitely beat down, and we had an event. We have a Stadium Blitz event. We actually hosted it in Tampa, and I knew he was hurting a little bit because I just smoked him on this event. I'm like, there's no way that his conditioning is that bad. I mean, the kid plays every single play in an NFL game. I used to play 30 snaps, and I couldn't move after a game, so I know my conditioning isn't that much better than his, and he was just beat down. You go 9 years where you're just taking big hits and you're playing every single play in every single game. It takes a toll on you. And I think it's 8 surgeries later, he just needed his body to recover before he could come back to football.
No, absolutely, Chris. And of course, we're talking with Chris Gronkowski, brother of Rob Gronkowski here, former fullback. Talk about your NFL times. What's one of the moments in the NFL where you said, man, I really got the most of that player, and talk about an experience where it goes, welcome to the NFL, where you're like, oh man, I can't believe I missed that block.
Man, so welcome to the NFL is really my rookie year. I was with the Cowboys, and I'm going against veteran linebackers like Keith Brooking, and there's another fullback on the team that was there for 4 years, and he's going up there, he's fitting in the hole. They're just this nice little block, and then I'll go in. It was just straight on smashing heads, and really it came to the point where it was the day before a preseason game, and we're in shells, shoulder pads and like these little padded shoulder pads and helmets, and first play is an ISO, and I think I'm just going to fit up on the guy, and next thing you know, we're just going full speed smashing heads the day before our first preseason game. And that was kind of like, hey, welcome to the NFL. Nothing's ever going to be easy. You're going to have to earn every single play out here. So yeah, that's kind of how it was for me. For me, the moment when it was kind of like, man, it all pays off was the first touchdown. It was actually my first game I started my rookie year, and I was able to catch a touchdown against the Bears. And man, just a surreal feeling. And going against linebackers like Lance Briggs, who was a U of A guy where we played, and a legend, and then Urlacher as well. On the first play, I was running ISO against Urlacher, and that was kind of that moment when, hey man, all the hard work has paid off. Here's the moment. Let's do this.
What's it like to run ISO versus Brian Urlacher? And you mentioned a Lance Briggs. I mean, kind of take us into that, because that seems scary to me.
Yeah, so I had my hand down first play. I know we're running ISO. I'm shaking. My hand's on the ground shaking, and I have to pause, right? We're doing like this kind of this play where I paused for a second, but I couldn't even pause. I just went. And to tell you the truth, a guy like Urlacher lasted 15 years because he's not going in there with his head down trying to blow people up, at least not later in his career. He's playing it smart. He's coming in with the right technique. He's filling the hole, and he's getting the play over with, and he's doing his job. On the other hand, man, Lance was still – he was flying out there. I think he was in year 8, and he was bringing heat. So I don't know if it was a U of A thing and he was just trying to show me what's up with Arizona football, but he was coming hard every play.
Yeah, I mean, Lance Briggs and of course, Brian Urlacher at the time were just unbelievable linebackers, along with Chris Gronkowski, former NFL fullback for the Denver Broncos, Indianapolis Colts. Also mentioned the Dallas Cowboys. With that being said, you guys being such a close family, are there times where I know you talk to Rob probably on a daily basis. Are there times where you go and you try to counsel your brother, or you try to give him tips, or you try to say, you should do this better? And he kind of looks at you and goes, come on, man, but you're still the big brother. I mean, that's what big brother do. I'm a big brother. I have 4 sisters. So does that happen in your household?
Yeah, I mean, it doesn't necessarily happen with football. He's kind of, the expert there. But no, we still talk trash all the time. And you have to, man. That's what brothers do. And sometimes you got to bring each other back down to earth. So we're really good at doing that to each other, and it just makes us closer, man. So but football wise, I mean, I'm never going to sit here and say, hey man, what were you doing on that route, or, what were you thinking on that play? He's got to where he's at because he's extremely good at what he does. And I don't think anyone would ever say something like that to him.
Oh no, I know they won't. With that being said, somebody asked, is that Wu-Tang in the background? I was like, that looks like a Wu-Tang song in the background. That's
where at, man. This is a fake background. I'm not sure.
That's good stuff. What do you got going on outside of football? Because I've seen something, I think it's an ice shaker or something. You're into the gym, of course. You guys are all in shape. What do you got going on outside of football, Chris?
Yeah, man. So going into year 5 of my business. It's called Ice Shaker. We were on ABC Shark Tank. I had, all my brothers come out there with me. We did a huge chest bump. We played flip cup against the Sharks, and we actually got an offer from all 5 Sharks. Closed a deal with Mark Cuban and Alex Rodriguez. And what the product is it's a kitchen grade insulated stainless steel shaker bottle. So for me, trying to live an active and healthy lifestyle after football, I was going to the gym each and every day. And by the time I got there, I'm in Texas now. My shaker bottle was warm. It was sweating everywhere. I take a sip and it tastes awful. And I just wanted really just one cup I could use all day, every day. And so I created this idea, let's make an insulated bottle, keep it cold or hot. I actually have one right here with Rob's signature on it. I might have to auction it off or something, but easy open flip top, handle on it. And then, it's going to actually break up powders, protein, stuff like that. But it also works as a strainer. So if you like to party, you could pour shots with it as well.
Wow.
And then, man, just fill it up like this, like a beer cup, and just chug out of it like a wide mouth cup as well. So really does everything. That was the goal. And Rob's now a part investor in it as well. And it's just awesome, man, because I'm doing what I love to do, what I'm passionate about. I could go to the gym and I could call it work. And that's what it's all about, man, enjoying what you do in life.
I agree. I absolutely enjoy what we do here with Bucs Report. We're so glad to have you on, Chris, on the Evolution of Sports Talk Television, powered by 320solar.com. So talk about this relationship between Tom Brady and Rob Gronkowski. Kind of take us into that a little bit. People kind of know already, but how close are both of these guys here? Are they like brothers?
Hey, they are now, man, for sure. I saw the last Gronky and Tommy or whatever they call it now, and that was definitely their best one. They switched shades, and Tom's wearing the big pit vipers, but that was classic, man. I was dying laughing on that one, and I think they really have. I think they're so close now, and you could see it on the field as well. But yeah, man, they're. I don't know if they're hanging out off the field or not. I've really never seen Tom outside of football before, but on the field and at practice, they're definitely have that connection now.
What do you think of the Buccaneers as a whole? Of course, I know you're a little bit biased to it because your brother plays for them, but can they get this done? I mean, disappointing losses versus the Saints, of course, that loss versus the Bears. You have the Rams coming in. They have the Rams coming in on Monday night. So how do you feel about this team? Can they get it done? And is there something on this team that you feel like needs to be improved for you to kind of check off, or are you kind of already checked off and saying, not only could they make the playoffs, I've said it before, Super Bowl or a bust because it's in Tampa. How do you feel about this team?
Yeah, so I've been saying it since day one. No team's ever played in their own stadium for the Super Bowl, but 2020 is like no other year, right? So I think it's going to happen. But I think one of the best things that happens is, they just get, these games where they just get completely blown out. This happened pretty much every single time they won the Super Bowl in New England. They had this game, usually it was early on, and they just got crushed, and everyone came after them, said they suck, Brady's done, the dynasty's over with. And really, sometimes you need that. You need that whooping every once in a while to really lock down, really focus on your weaknesses, and it helps. And then from there, they just turn it on, and all of a sudden everything's clicking and everyone's on the same page. So that's kind of what I saw out of that game. That was a game that just, man, every single thing went wrong that could possibly go wrong. And then you see the bounce back. And then after that, they just start rolling. And I think that's what's going to happen this year. And I think they're going to end up in the Super Bowl.
Yeah, and I think they're going to win the Super Bowl. I said it, why should Colin Cowherd have all the fun? This team goes 13-3, although they would have to run the table. Big game versus the Rams on Monday night. Of course, Kansas City still on the schedule. 2 games versus the Falcons and the Lions. Let me ask you, if you had the opportunity, of course, we talked about Bruce Arians' offense not having a fullback, but what would it be like to block for a victim of volume in a Ronald Jones? Goes for 98 yards, over 100 yards, 192 yards. Talk about him a little bit and take us into some of the things that you think are good about him and some of the things that he needs to improve on for this Buccaneer team going forward.
Yeah, that's a dream as a fullback to have a really good running back behind you that's hitting the holes and finding the gap. So he's crushing it, man, and it's great to see. And I think he has great vision on the field. And really, I think the only thing he needs to work on is just hit the jugs machine after practice and really just focus on your hands, because every once in a while he drops a pass, and that's big. That's big, especially going down the stretch. So other than that, and that's something that's super easy to fix. That's something that one of my favorite drills was just after practice when I would drop passes, just literally walk up to the machine and just keep walking up to it until you're literally catching it out of the jugs machine. It's a huge help, and guys can greatly improve their hands doing it. So I think that's all he needs is a couple sessions there, and he's the full package.
Has Rob talked to you about playing on prime time? Because, much was been made this week about them going to night practices. In your opinion, is that a mental thing? Is it a physical thing? Why have the Bucs this year had so much difficulty playing on prime time, in your opinion?
Man, I don't think it's really anything. I think I don't think there's a time of the day that really changes anything. From what I've seen playing, sometimes you just go out and you have a bad game, and that's kind of what happened so far this year. But I love night games, and it gives you rest and it kind of lets you prepare the whole day. So I think that will switch. I don't think it's something that they're not good at. I think it's just, so far they've just had kind of just been unlucky on those games.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with you on that. The Chicago game really hurts. I feel like the refs kind of took that game away with the egregious call versus Shaq Barrett, 15-yard penalty, ridiculous there. Bucs kind of shot themselves in the foot with, some turnovers and especially the penalty situation. How happy was Rob with Jones's performance versus the Panthers? Did he talk about that with you?
No, but I mean, anytime your running back goes for 200, that's huge. I mean, if you could run the ball, that's going to open up the entire game. And so that's all you have to look at. If a team's running the ball, they're probably going to win the game, because once you get that going, the passing game's going to open wide. It's going to open up, and it's going to be wide open for everyone else. And you saw that with Rob on the touchdown. They're blocking all game. They're effective with it, so they have to commit to it. and then Rob's just standing there wide open in the end zone when he fakes it and goes into the corner. So you get that run game going, you're unstoppable at that point.
Yeah, I mean, that's what I keep on telling people, and I think that really affected the Bucs offense over the years, and that's why it struggled, and now it's been very good, Chris. Rob, he's a fearless wide receiver, fearless tight end in the league. What do you think his biggest fear off the field or on the field is, in your opinion?
I mean, I don't know. He might be scared of spiders or something like that, but man, he's been fearless since day one, man. He was breaking bones and he was doing it all at a young age, and it's kind of never, it's never faded, man. And even with the injuries over the years, he's still running up the middle, blinded, just still catching passes with having no idea who's in front of him. So I know personally, I've taken hits like that where you're running up the field, you don't know who's in front of you, and you start to shy away from it pretty quickly, and he hasn't. So I don't know if he has any fears at this point. And like I said, man, it's impressive to see what he's done.
Yeah, Chris, and it absolutely is impressive. And speaking of impressive, Aaron Donald on Monday night, you look at him, you watch him. What makes him so good? And do you think the Bucs as an offensive line can handle him? They did it last year. Can they do it this year?
Man, that guy is he's an absolute beast, man. He's so explosive, and that's insane. It's insane what he's able to do. You don't see a human being that big be that quick and that explosive off the line. So it's tough to handle. I mean, you really have to usually commit two guys to it. You have to commit a game plan to it as well. And you have to try to slow him down because he will completely change an entire game. So yeah, I mean, I think they just have to prepare for it and be ready for it, and slow him down. And if they can do that, and effectively run the ball, it's going to open everything up again.
Yeah, no, you're exactly right. I agree with you on that. So, looking at this Rams game, but getting off of that really quick, give me a funny story that nobody knows about Rob that everybody's going to know now.
Oh, man.
And him, because I know your family likes to have fun. And I tell you right now, I like to hang out with your family because maybe I need to party a little bit with you guys because you guys know how to have a good time.
Yeah, man. If they'll be in the Super Bowl this year, so we had to cancel Gronk Beach round 2. But last year's Super Bowl party was awesome. That was for sure. But one story, man, I don't know. He's most of the stuff's came out. I mean, he just did the whole Disney Plus kind of behind the scenes growing up Gronk kind of stories. So I don't know. Most of it's been out there, and he's just always been the guy that was going to have fun from day one, man. So everything he's done, I'll give. I guess it's not that great of a story, but this is kind of his personality. So we're on an airplane, and he's sitting behind my brother Glenn, and the flight attendant walks up and says, "Hey, is your seatbelt buckled?" And he's sitting behind the seat, and he's saying no through the crack. And the flight attendant can hear him and thinks it's my brother Glenn. And as she turns her head, he's like, "No, my seatbelt's not on." And she starts getting pissed, tries to kick Glenn off the plane, and he's sitting behind him just dying laughing. And that's him, man. That's him. He's always had that personality. He's always just having a good time. And it's been like that since day one, and it's never changed, with the money, with the fame, all that. He's still always been the same person. I think that's why people can relate so well to him.
All right, I got to get a prediction from you. I know that your brother plays for the team, but I got to get it from you on Monday Night Football. Bucs versus the Rams. I'll get you out of here on that.
Yeah, man. Of course, I'm going Bucs all day. Let's go. But, got that at home. I think it's going to change. The primetime curse that they currently have going. Like I said, I think that beatdown they took a couple weeks ago was really that eye opener. It really helped them lock down, get focused, and I really think that's going to help change the rest of the year for them. So, yeah, man. You want me to throw a score out there, or where are we going? Where are we going?
Throw the score. Throw the score. Bucs versus the Rams. Why?
So I'm gonna go. Let's see. We'll go 27-13. I think the defense is gonna show up big. They had a lot of extra rest this week as well, and that helps. It really helps a lot. I think the offense is gonna show up too. Like a lot of guys that are hurt, a lot of guys that are banged up, and a lot of time off. So it helps a lot, especially in season. And I think they're gonna have a great game this Monday night.
All right, good stuff there. Chris Gronkowski, brother of Rob, doing big things there. Go ahead and promote what you're doing. And once again, don't be a stranger here on the evolution of sports talk television, the sports web.
Yeah, for sure. So check me out at Chris Gronkowski. I'm all over the place. I've posted a lot of NFL content on TikTok that people like seeing, a lot of behind the scenes stuff on Instagram, on Twitter as well, on Facebook now too. And check out iceshaker.com. That's our product. Looking for the best cup in the game. We can personalize each and every item as well. Right now, we're doing a ton of stuff just for different companies. Just hit me up at chris@iceshaker.com and shoot over a logo, and we can get some bottles out. We usually turn them in 3 to 5 days. It's about to get crazy with Black Friday, so hit me up now if you want to jump on that.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm going to have to do that because I'm trying to get back into the gym. I'm 42 years old. I hurt my back a long time ago, but I think that would be ideal for me to get one of those ice shakers. Like to definitely try it out. Chris Gronkowski, former fullback of the Broncos and Colts. Thanks a lot for your time here on the Sports Web, boss.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. There you go. Chris Gronkowski doing big things on the field and off the field. Of course, the brother of Rob Gronkowski. That's why you tune in here. That guy knows his stuff. We're going to get him back on the Sports Web, I can assure you, and definitely promote that product because I'm all about, having something that's going to work, and it certainly seems like it's going to work in the best way for you there. Let's go out to Tyler Brayshaw. Thanks a lot for giving us that special guest. I got to ask you, how do you know Chris?
I honestly don't. I want to say thanks to Chris again. He did this on the fly. I actually messaged him about an hour ago and just asked him if he'd like to make an appearance, be a special guest on the show. And he said, let me get the kids down and I'll be right on. So he did that on the fly. And I think that speaks volumes to the kind of guy he is. So we definitely appreciate that.
Absolutely, Tyler. And the ice shaker thing is interesting to me because, like I said, I'm trying to get back into the gym, get back into shape again. And that would definitely help me out. So a great product. He even talked about, being on the Shark Tank and their brothers. I mean, I can kind of imagine being in that household with all those siblings and how competitive they are. He's the big brother. He's trying to kind of keep them in line, but it's Rob Gronkowski. So I definitely think that's a tough job.
For me, it's like, imagine being those parents. Like you have these house full of boys that are just wrecking everything. They're wild. They're crazy. And it's just 5 boys, right? 5 competitive boys. You're constantly thinking somebody's hurt, something's broke, something's this, something's that. And then they get older. We know that family likes to have fun. So now they're still worried a little bit. Just as a parent, you're like, oh man, look at these 5 boys out here that I have.
Yeah, no, I know. I grew up in a big family. Thanksgiving for me is a beautiful thing. And I talked about my dad passing away. It's not the same as it used to be.
Mm-hmm.
But all the Thanksgiving people get together, your whole family gets together. You have the one crazy uncle. I have that one crazy uncle, Uncle D. Love you to death. Big time fan of the Sports Web. But they all get together and chaos kind of resumes. It's kind of crazy with the way it goes on holidays. So kind of miss it. But again, you have 4 sisters. So eventually we're all going to be getting together and having a nice Thanksgiving. And of course, we're less than a week away. From that. So I've got to imagine that their family right now is crazy. And of course, he was talking about Rob and how he thinks he's back in shape again. And certainly when Rob came in, a lot of people were talking about, kind of seen his best days. I said, hold up.
Yep.
Let him get into shape. Let him get accustomed to this offense, get comfortable in it. He's definitely gotten comfortable in it. And he was talking about it, I think about a couple months ago, it seems like, just yesterday, I'm a blocking tight end, baby. But everybody knew he was not coming here to block. He was still coming here to make plays, and he's done that. He did that last week.
And that's something we talked about from the beginning, right? This guy's not going to be able to go out and be in game shape from day one. It's going to take weeks to get back to where he was. Although he was active out of the game, it's just, as Chris touched on, there's nothing like, being football ready. Like he said, he's playing 30, 40 snaps a game. Well, Rob can't come in here and play as many snaps as everybody expected him to and feel like he should be in game shape as well. And we're slowly seeing him get back to where he is. I think he's really getting comfortable. We saw him make that catch this week where he just kind of shrugged the guy off his shoulders. That's the old Gronk we're used to seeing from a couple years ago. So I think we're finally in I shouldn't say finally, because we kind of expected this, but we're getting to see the Gronk that we envisioned coming in here, but we knew it would take some time to get him there, and he's really starting to look good again. Looks comfortable. Him and Tom are starting to get on the same page again, so it's getting exciting to see.
Yeah, and I like to see him in that running game. Like I talked about, the reason why you're paying him so much money is because not only can he make plays in the passing game, but he's a great inline blocker. And it's like having another offensive lineman to help the running game. And lo and behold, Bucs fans, he's helped the running game out because you have a Ronald Jones, the victim of volume. I'll keep on saying it until we get a shirt made up of Ronald Jones there. Third in the league in rushing, of course, coming off a big game and that big-time run, 98 yards to the house. Let's talk about that performance. What are your thoughts against the Panthers and Jones?
I mean, that's the Ronald Jones we're all looking for, right? And as Chris mentioned, we just got to get him in front of a jugs machine and just get those hands better out of the backfield, because we know Tom likes to hit his running backs. But we've seen this week how elusive he can be, how good he can be again. I mean, he almost clipped 200 yards. So that's the Ronald Jones we want to see right there. And, who knows what would have happened the week before if we gave him the ball. He could have done that as well. This could have been a couple straight weeks. We're talking about him being over 100 yards again. So it's exactly what we expect out of him. The line looked really good again. So it also depends. His game depends on how much line shows up as well. And last week we had a really good line, and it showed on their part as well as Ronald Jones' part.
All right, let's go out to the webheads here. Read some of these comments. Tyler killing it in the creamsicle there. That's red, Johnny Dean. I think Johnny Dean. I
just have poor lighting in here, I think, is the problem.
Well, that's okay. I worked on that too. We got to work on that together, because sometimes my lighting is a little bit off. It's a 4K camera. Johnny Dean with the eyes. Hey, Tyler, nice jacket. Absolutely. Make sure you head over to Chris's page on Facebook, the Ice Shaker. Definitely going to like it. I'm going to check it out. Really like what I hear and see, and most likely will buy something that I need at this point. And look, to me, it's going to come in handy, because
and look at that guy. You can tell he made a good product, right?
Right. It's jacked. I mean, to me, Bruce Arians kind of needs to consider possibly maybe putting back a fullback in that situation. I don't know. I think it may help, but that's just me. Who knows? I don't know anything about football. I'm not a coach. I'm not a GM. I'm just a damn sports talk show host here on The Evolution. All right. So good stuff there. 3427 says, Carl, Johnny Dean, great interview. Thank you, Peter. Tyler made my night listening to Chris. I mean, he's a good get. Definitely want to get him back on here. Thanks, Johnny. Johnny Dean. Chris has a lot of home workouts on his page, Peter H. Blake. You should check it out. May have to do that because that's the great thing about going and working out in the gym and doing anything in life. You think you know it all, but you don't. Don't go into the attitude of thinking you know everything. There's always something you can learn different. So I'm always looking to somebody else's workout. I'm always looking to doing different styles when it comes to sports broadcasting and trying different things. So definitely will check that out. Let's go out to Jim. You're on with yours truly, along with the newest guy here, part of the Bucs Report family, Mr. Tyler Bradshaw. What's on your mind? Damn it, Jim.
How you doing, Tyler Bradshaw? Hey, thank you for bringing Gronk on, the older Gronk.
Well, yes, absolutely. And he had a lot of things to share about Rob Gronkowski, but he had a lot of things to share about his own NFL career that I thought was interesting, and certainly like to have him back on again, because he's got that NFL perspective and he watches NFL football. He can give you something that, maybe we can't necessarily give you. And I kind of like that, Jim.
Yes, sir. Definitely going to look for them shaker cups, because I really need one.
Yeah, absolutely. And he even said it can double down as like, you're a partier. People say, maybe I need to party a little bit. Who knows? Maybe I'll do a little bit of partying, of course, not on air, off the air when I have these 2 days off. So we'll see.
I'm glad. Let's just hope they run the ball. We ain't going to be doing this throw through the air, that's it thing.
Well, yeah, and I definitely think, look, they know that their game plan, what it should be. Can they execute it? That's what it comes down to. It goes back to my friend Gene Thomas at Buck, which you heard. Can they execute that game plan? Can you run the ball? Can you be committed to the victim of volume and a Ronald Jones and a Leonard Fournette? Can you continue to run the ball, because if you can, then you take the pressure off of a Tom Brady, and then you give him that opportunity to distribute the ball to the likes of an Evans, of a Godwin, of a Brown, of a Gronk, of a Brady.
Yes, I think I like what they did to the offensive line last week, and let's keep that going. Hopefully, they stay strong so Brady can have time to throw the ball.
Right.
Also, on that defense, it's going to probably be a defensive game. You're going to see who got the better defense.
Well, yeah, I mean, you're definitely going to see that. And a lot of people are kind of talking about, Jim, how this could be the best defense the Bucs have faced this year, although I think the Chicago Bears would have something to say about that. Tyler, how do you feel about it? Talk to Jim a little bit about this defense and what you've seen, not only Aaron Donald and Jalen Ramsey, but some other players, right?
Well, I mean, they're balanced all over the place, right? You got a guy like Jalen Ramsey that can pretty much shut down any wide receiver in the game, and you expect him to do that. But I think that's where our depth comes in so handy. We still have Antonio Brown to throw to, Chris Godwin, Rob Gronkowski. So we have the weapons. To me, it's just which offensive line is going to show up, because they have a guy like Aaron Donald who it doesn't matter who you put on that offensive line. That guy can enforce his will wherever he wants, whenever he wants, it seems like. So as long as we can buy Tom Brady time, there's not a game on the schedule that I'm worried about. It's just which offensive line shows up, and are they going to give Tom the time to get the ball out of his hands? So really, for me and the rest of the schedule on the way out, that's the only thing that matters to me. Is Tom going to have time to throw? And there's not a team that's worries me. And then on the other side of the ball for the Rams, you don't from week to week, we don't really know what Jared Goff is going to show up either. So if we can put a little pressure on him as well, and like we did last week on in that game, then I like our chances. But it all comes down to up front and in the trenches and who's going to show out more there.
I mean,
go ahead.
No, Jim, go ahead.
How's Leonard Fournette been looking? Because I ain't really been talking about him too much.
No, you haven't really been talking about him too much, because the hot hand has been Jones, or it's been a running game that had 5 carries in the Saints game. That just can't happen again. They can't go to a one-dimensional offense, especially versus a good defense. You just can't do it. So I would expect they're going to go with the hot hand. If it's Jones or Fournette, I would expect it to be Jones, but it could be Fournette simply because of the reasons of what some of the webheads have mentioned tonight. The fact of the matter is, and even Chris brought this up, is that Jones needs to hit the jugs machine. He needs to get better. He needs to become more of a consistent pass catcher. Fournette has already got that, so you feel good about that. And if they're swinging the ball out of the backfield, Fournette you would favor over Jones. Hate to say it.
Yeah. And going back to that game last week, I was actually really happy to see Bruce and Byron stick with Rojo after that fumble. I had a feeling that they were going to turn to Leonard Fournette right there as soon as he dropped the ball, and I just had a feeling they'd go to Fournette. So I was really happy they stuck with him, obviously, after seeing a 200-yard game. But Fournette's just, coming into the season, he knew. Bruce made it very clear that Ronald Jones was the guy, and Bruce Arians has stuck by his word. And I feel like that's something we see out of him. So it's just until Rojo has a hot hand, like Peter said, we're not going to see much out of Fournette other than that second in line position. But it's just great to see what Rojo's doing right now, and I expect it to continue. The guy is a tough runner. He's elusive. He can run with a little bit of power. He's a good back.
He's a good back, and you get him out in the space. You can use that speed threat, 21 miles per hour to the house. It's just amazing. And he's breaking tackles this year. Certainly seems like, once again, putting on that 20 pounds, gave him confidence. Hearing from Bruce Arians and Jason Light, we believe in Rojo. He's going to be the guy that's going to be the bell cow that's going to have the carries. We believe in him. I think that's also played a part in it. Good stuff. Jim, what else?
How did Mike Miller do last game? I kind of watched the game, but I was in between houses. So.
Well, Mike Miller, that would be Scotty Miller's brother, who used to play for the NBA. I don't think they're related. I think you're talking about Scotty Miller.
You know what I meant.
I know what you meant there. I had to play around. That's funny. Scotty Miller, I think he kind of took a back seat to Antonio Brown, Mike Evans, and Chris Godwin. We kind of expected that, and that may happen in some type of these games, depending on looks and formations and stuff like that. So the ball distribution was very good. Scotty Miller not really in on that last week. I'm trying to look at this.
And actually, I was surprised to see Tyler Johnson in there last week more than Scotty Miller. We saw the one target in the end zone to a ball to Tyler Johnson.
Dropped it.
So actually, Scotty Miller's, he's fallen down the depth chart a little bit, but again, when you have Mike Evans, Chris Godwin, and Antonio Brown, that's something you'd expect as well.
Yeah, no, you're exactly right. And depending on what happens with the Antonio Brown situation, which I'm concerned about because the NFL is investigating it. They didn't know about the incident. The Bucs may have known about it. Of course, Coach Arians doesn't necessarily want to talk about it. So we'll see what happens. But definitely, I feel like Antonio Brown or Chris Godwin could go off in this game simply because of the matchup with Jalen Ramsey and Mike Evans. This may be the door opener there. Don't know too much about the Williams kid. I know he has 4 interceptions, but Jalen Ramsey and him, I take your chances on the other side of that.
Absolutely. I mean, go ahead, Jim.
The tight ends, both of the tight ends got a touchdown last weekend.
Yeah, so absolutely. And it was good to see Cameron Brate involved more in the offense. And it was good to see, of course, Rob Gronkowski with, the perfect put away. When you run the ball, you cheat up, you've got one-on-one coverage. Gronkowski beats this guy, and it's all academic at that point. It's an easy touchdown. So that's a good thing to see. It was good for Rob, of course, because Brady's missed him a couple opportunities this year, but he hit him, and it was so nice to see the 44-yard catch and run by Gronkowski. I mean, it just he looks so good, and he's such a mismatch nightmare.
People down the field like old Gronkowski.
Yep, and he definitely can still do it. And you heard from his brother that he's in great shape. He's in football shape. He's ready to go. And the guy, he looks leaner, but it doesn't necessarily mean he's not stronger. So, we'll see how that works. We'll see what the game plan is against the Rams on Monday.
This team, the offense, outside of last week when we ran the ball 5 times or 2 weeks ago, I think they're really starting to figure it out. I mean, last week, I know the Giants game was ugly too, but I think people forget because we have so much talent on the outside on this team is how vital the running game is to this team and how vital Rojo is. Although he's not, he doesn't have the name of Antonio Brown, Mike Evans, Chris Godwin, Rob Gronkowski. The list goes on. Rojo opens everything up for these guys. So when you have a guy that rushes for 200 yards or even 100 yards, we're going to see these big numbers out of Rob Gronkowski continue, Mike Evans continue, AB, Chris Godwin. So the more we go forward from now on, I believe that defenses are really going to have a tough time matching up as long as we keep getting Rojo the ball. It's going to start to get fun right now. Now we're just holding our hands together, praying for a few Saints losses, right? We just found out that they're going Taysom Hill over Jameis, so that's interesting.
What did you think about that, Jim? Taysom Hill over Jameis Winston. Surprised?
Yeah, I was thoroughly surprised, and I'm a Florida State fan, so I was a little bit flabbergasted.
Good board, Lee Award.
He won them a championship. So, I mean, it ain't like he's a bum out here. I just don't get it, but, that's them.
Well, I mean, he knows the offense a little bit more than Jameis Winston. I would not be surprised if Winston sees some action in that game. In fact, I think it's a ploy. I don't necessarily think Hill will start the whole game, and I think if Hill does struggle with throwing the ball consistently and the Falcons come out, and they're not a great defense, but they come out and have a game plan where they stifle his runs and he's not able to throw the ball consistently from the pocket, I would not be surprised to see Winston a little bit in that game. Good stuff, Jim.
Let's hope the Falcons can punch him in the mouth real quick and then
I agree.
end up losing the game.
I agree. And that's what I told fans. It only takes one injury to Drew Brees. What is the impact of it? We shall see on Sunday. Jim, good stuff. Let me go ahead and fire those cannons for you. Right there.
I was really upset to see Hill starting. I told.
All right, there you go. Go ahead, Tyler.
I apologize. I was saying on What's Cooking in the South the other night. I was telling Rick I was really excited to finally see Jameis help the Bucs win a division here. So I was really upset to see Hill starting this week.
Yeah, no, that absolutely. I think the whole big story was Winston starting, and he would have the Bucs and their playoff expectations in his hands again, and all this other stuff, and it's not to be. All right, Dean says 59 attempts rushing in 2020, 244 yards, 2 touchdowns, 4.1 yards per carry. 4 yards per reception. 24 receptions for 152, 6.3 yards per catch. Excuse me, I guess it's yards per rush there. 0 fumbles, 0 lost for Nets. Agree. So I guess you could say he's the new victim of volume, but I'll still go with Ronald Jones on that. Tim goes, I heard McVay press conference. He said it's a nightmare trying to figure out how to match up against our offense. And I think that's what it comes down to. The matchup of if you keep Aaron Donald in check, which this offensive line did last year, and then you keep Leonard Floyd in check, and you can keep the pressure off of a Tom Brady that once again he can distribute. He's going to be able to find these weapons because these weapons are so talented on the outside.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think we saw it out of Antonio Brown last week. We saw just how quick he looks already. It almost looked like he didn't take any time off the field. His first steps really quick. He was getting by guys. He was making some good grabs. So to see that again this week, I'm excited for. It's just keeping Tom Brady upright, and as long as we do that, and like I said, that's the game plan going forward against any team. If we can do that, if that offensive line can be what it was last week, there's not a game on the schedule that worries me. And the defense looked good last week too. There was two touchdowns I would say that you can't really pin on the defense. One was the special teams play where they returned the ball down to their own 5 or whatever it was, and then the Rojo fumble gave them a short field too. But outside of that, the defense looked really good. But it's hard to pin the blame on them for those 2 scores as well.
No, I agree with that. They just have to get off to a better start, and you can't have those communication breakdowns. Let's go on to Johnny Dean, the professor. Welcome to the Evolution. You're on with yours truly, along with Tyler Brashaw, newest member of Bucs Report here, powered by 320solar.com, the sports web. What do you have to say?
How you guys doing?
Doing good, bud.
What's up, Johnny Dean?
Hey, Tyler, man, that was a great get, dude.
I appreciate it. Thank you.
Yeah. And Peter, good interview, man.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate you.
Yeah, Peter, well done on the fly right there.
Thank you.
Done.
Oh, that's what you do. That's what you do here on the Evolution. I mean, it's just, you're talking to your friends. And I feel like, when Chris gets on here, it's like talking to a guy that you want to talk to about football. And I know the story about the family, and it's always interesting to hear that other perspective, that other side. The guy played in the league. He's no slouch, and he definitely knows his brother. And I just feel like we could have him on again. And then on top, go ahead.
He's a very easy guy to talk to. That's for sure. He made it very easy.
And he has a great product, which I think he definitely come in handy with, me trying to get back into the gym again. Hopefully not hurting my back for the 1200th time. That's near there. Kids, never hurt your back. My dad told me, you don't hurt your back. You hurt your back for life. All right, Johnny Dean, enough of the PSAs. What do you have to say?
I got a couple of things. If Chris is still listening from Pittsburgh, go Wolverines.
Okay.
If he's listening, he'll know what that means.
Okay.
The running back situation, it's not a victim of volume. I think this is a great situation.
I agree.
It's fantastic for the team.
Oh, yeah.
I don't know if Fournette's going to appreciate it moving forward, but hey, man, right now, what we got in our backfield is looking good.
Well, it's looking good, and it's a good problem to have because, like you said, you need a dual threat running back in this league. You have a Derrick Henry, but still you have a Jeremy McNichols. It's amazing. McNichols made it for the Titans. He plays a role. So you're exactly right, and Fournette and Jones is a great combination. I think Bruce explained it this year, Tyler and Johnny, where if you run Jones early, you save Fournette for the closing role. You can use him as your closing running back to basically put the nail into the coffin on the opposing team.
Yeah. As far as running backs themselves go, he's probably going to be gone next year. But man, I'd like to see him ball out a little bit.
Yeah, well, I agree with you on that because he could definitely do it, and he may not necessarily be happy with his numbers. But I tell you right now, those miles on those tires are going to thank him, because if he does sign with another team next year, he's going to be a fresh running back. He's not going to take that pounding. And I think that was interesting what Chris said. Rob, for so many years, has taken a pounding, got away from it for a year. But those injuries and those bumps and bruises and those hits that fans take for granted, you really can't take them for granted, because it definitely wears down on that body eventually.
Those linemen take a lot of hits right there in the trenches.
Yeah.
I heard Rick say something about that earlier. I didn't catch the whole thing, but those guys take a beating, dude. That's 600 pounds of pressure hitting itself.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
No.
200 pounds, 300 pounds. That's 600 pounds of pressure colliding in a train wreck right there on that line, dude.
No, absolutely. And I'm surprised there's not more situations here, Tyler and Johnny, where you have more offensive linemen that are in concussion protocol, because you always see both of those linemen making contact, helmet to helmet, and you see those collisions happening all the time.
Absolutely. And luckily for those big guys like that, they're not really running at full speed at each other like you see often with these other guys. So that helps them a little bit there. I think that's kind of why the NFL pulled back from the kick return game, because you get these guys that with that speed and that size running full speed at each other, you're just asking for concussions. You're asking for injuries. And you touched on something a second ago with Fournette. He may be disappointed with the touches he's getting right now, but if he looks at signing a team next year, he's going to be healthy. He's going to be good to go. And that's another position you got to look at when you talk about taking these guys for granted in terms of a hit. These running backs are constantly picking up blocks. I mean, imagine standing in there and you got to pick up this linebacker coming at you, and you're standing pretty much flat foot and he's coming at you full speed. You're taking hits constantly running the ball. So, as much as Fournette wants to be on the field, moving forward, if he's looking for a deal, this is playing right into his hand right now.
Absolutely.
Oh, I think he's happy with where he's at right now. I didn't mean to make it sound otherwise.
Right.
Especially if he comes out of this with a ring.
Yeah.
Then he can pretty much set his price.
Absolutely. I agree with that. And who knows, maybe he just sticks around, because again, I know what you're talking about, going for a starting role, but sometimes the grass isn't always greener on the other side. So we'll see what Fournette does and how the Bucs use him. And again, knock on wood, injuries happen and guys get kind of cold. So it's always good to have 2 or 3 running backs. Remember, they still have LaShawn McCoy on this team. They still have Keyshawn Vaughn. So the Bucs have a pretty very good running back room, unlike in previous years, which really hindered this offense.
One more thing, back to the linemen again.
Yeah.
It's not as much that they're not running full head at each other. It's that the linemen on both sides of the ball are the most technical people on the field. Technique is everything to line. 100%. It's not like the speed guys. They get their routes down, but the technique is something that grows on them. Linemen, in order to even be on the field, have to have their technique down.
I agree. And we always talk about that with Donovan Smith. And we heard Coach Arians talk about this months ago, where Smith loses technique and he tries to knock the hell out of somebody instead of using good technique. And, it looks like, last week was good technique, and you can't lose that, because when you lose the technique, Blake Anthony talks about it all the time, the footwork, everything has to be correct, because if it's not, and it's almost like a pitcher, right? When a pitcher throws the ball, he has to have great mechanics. I know, Johnny, you love that comparison because you love to talk baseball, but if you have one thing off your mechanics, then basically the ball goes somewhere else. So you have to have all that stuff in line, and that's why it's so important when they do scout these offensive linemen that they have good technique, that they have good bend, and that they have the proper weight distribution, and of course all the footwork in line. And if they do have that, then that's why you see guys work out and translate over to the NFL, and some guys don't.
What hurt Smith the most was Warhop. He come out of college and went straight under Warhop, and that was the worst thing that could happen to him.
Not a big fan of Warhog, right? That's what you used to call him.
The guy is horrible, and you can ask Blake Anthony; he'll tell you the same thing.
Okay,
Warhop was horrible. He put him out there and said, "Rock this." He would teach scheme, but he wouldn't teach technique.
Sure. Well, you got Godwin running that, so that's impressive. Did a good job with the Arizona Cardinals and doing to me, a pretty good job going back to last year, whether it's the quarterback or not. This offensive line has cut down on the sacks, and that's why I think it's translated to wins. And people say it's just a simplistic statistic, but it's an important statistic because it always starts up, Tyler and Johnny, with the line. It always starts there. You can talk about quarterbacks and running backs and tight ends and wide receivers, oh my, but it starts with the offensive line, and it also starts with the defensive line. They're so important to a football game plan and a football team in general.
Yeah, I've said this from as long as I remember the game. No matter how the game goes or the evolution of the game, football games are always going to be won in the trenches. It doesn't matter if it doesn't matter if it's early 2000s when every team felt like a power football team, or if it's today when Patrick Mahomes is throwing for 400 or 500 yards a game. If you don't win in the trenches, you are not going to win the football game. That's as simple as that.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
That's been the rule all through football, man.
Yep.
You got to win the trenches.
And
in order to win the trenches, these guys have to be coached up right. So it comes back to coaching.
It comes up to coaching and development, just like you always say, Johnny.
Exactly. This staff has had to reteach everything out there. That's why they had such a big staff, because they came in here and they looked and said, "Oh my God, these guys don't have the technique."
Yeah.
Who has been teaching them? And they have Dirk Cotter, who openly admits that he don't develop nobody. It's not his job. That's what he said. It's not my job to develop. And that was the craziest thing I ever heard out of the man's mouth.
Yep, absolutely. Agree. Good stuff, Johnny Dean. Let me go ahead and fire those cannons right there, my friend. Thanks a lot for the calls tonight, and keep on calling. All right, boss?
Later, guys.
Later.
Good job, guys.
Absolutely. All right. So talking about that, there's most likely a possibility that Ali Marpet may miss this game. Do you feel confident, Tyler, and then AQ Shipley at the center position and then Ryan Jensen at the left guard versus this stout defensive line of the Los Angeles Rams?
I do. I think Ryan Jensen's just kind of one of those guys that you don't want to move him all over the place, but you feel like he's just that gritty guy that you can put, you feel like, anywhere on that line and he's going to do his job. Shipley looked fine last week getting the ball to Tom. He looked fine blocking. So, this is a defensive line that they're going to get to Tom at some point. We just have to limit it. Hopefully not. Hopefully our offensive line is that good, but it's hard to hold Aaron Donald and this defensive line in check for the course of an entire football game. But I'm confident after what I've seen last week. I don't think they gave us a reason to not be confident. Jensen looked good over there, and then Shipley looked good in the middle there. So I'm good with it, and I'm obviously looking forward to getting Marpet back. But for now, and judging off last week, everything looks good. Everything feels good.
Yeah, absolutely, and we'll definitely see how that game plan shakes out. We'll see if Ali's going to be back or not. He hasn't practiced all week long, so concern there. Speaking of concern, do you have any concern with the Antonio Brown situation? Later on this week, there was a report out there that Brown broke a security camera through a bike. The Bucs came out, said they knew about the situation just 8 days, but what Jenna Lane mentions, and I'll tell you what, let me go ahead, put you in the lobby really quick. I want you to hear this soundbite.
Okay.
It's very interesting. Stand by here. We'll go out to Jenna Lane. She was with Mike Greenberg, who's one of my guys. I like that guy. Here we go.
Antonio Brown, who was accused by the community in which he lives in Florida of destroying a security camera and throwing a bicycle at a security guard. Monday, the Bucs released a statement saying they were aware of the incident before they signed him. Head coach Bruce Arians was asked about it yesterday.
Like the statement said, we were totally aware, and he's been a model citizen. I think we're trying to beat a dead horse here now, so there's been enough statements about it.
What gave you the confidence to believe that he has matured when, again, that was 8 days before he signed with you guys?
I think we've had enough conversations about that. Thank you.
So, as Jenna Lane, who was asking the question there, our Buccaneers reporter joins us here. Bruce Arians obviously doesn't want to talk about it. What is the latest about Antonio Brown's incident and the NFL's investigation, Jenna?
Well, Greeny, it really is a shame that Arians didn't want to answer any more questions, because I would have followed up with what type of support system is in place for a player who may very well be still struggling with anger management issues. Keep in mind, this incident happened after undergoing 13 weeks of court-ordered anger management training. Now, as far as the incident itself, I am told by the Hollywood Oaks Neighborhood Association that the issue is resolved, but it's not resolved yet with the league. They weren't aware of this prior to Brown signing with the Bucs. And so they're looking into this. They're investigating it. I've spoken to the league multiple times this week. They do not have a timetable set as to when they'll come up with some sort of resolution on this. And I also don't have an update as far as whether or not Brown could be found in violation of his probation. Keep in mind, the standard of proof is much lower when it comes to probation violations. They only need about a 50% likelihood that an event occurred, and obviously a police report was filed. They simply did not arrest him, but they only need a low standard of proof to discern whether or not he could be found in violation.
There you go. So to me, that is bothersome.
Yeah.
As you look at those, listen to those comments about her, and a lot of people say, well, you know, she shouldn't be bringing it up because it's a mute story. But no, it's a story. She has to cover it. But in the same token, it's also relevant because the Bucs signed him 8 days before this happens, or 8 days after it happens. And he went through 13 weeks of anger management and could possibly, he could have possibly violated his probation in Florida. Of course, a police report, but no charges are filed. How much concern do you have with the Brown situation with now the NFL investigating it?
Well, after hearing that, you're definitely concerned because, like she just mentioned, the NFL needs such little evidence to call that a probation violation, and then at that point, it's in the NFL's hands. I think that's what it says about the Buccaneers is he's not going anywhere. The Bucs aren't cutting him under any situation. It feels like unless it's the NFL handing down a suspension, then they're going to do it. But for them to know about it. And it just happening 8 days beforehand, I think it safely says that the Buccaneers are not cutting this guy unless he becomes, a complete distraction in the locker room. He starts disrupting the chemistry in the locker room. But that does worry you a little bit to hear that, and it's just now to sit here and understand that it's in the NFL's hands, and I guess we just move forward and hope for the best, and. For a lot of people that didn't want him on this team, including I think you mentioned that you were not on board with it, or maybe that was Fournette. I don't remember.
No, I was definitely not on board with it. I had been critical before. I did not want it to happen, but I was willing to give it a chance because Tom Brady signed off on it, because the organization, the ownership signed off on it. Bruce Arians even came out and said not only did he look fantastic in workouts, but he also matured. And now with this incident happening, it's kind of
and this is exactly why you weren't on board with it, right? I mean, this is what it was. The guy has never shown, especially in the last 24 months or whatever it is, any reason to trust him, especially off the field. My biggest concern was in the locker room. How was he going to be? I didn't expect another something to come out like this again, especially to say it was 8 days before we signed him. So, like I said, my biggest concern was in the locker room. But to hear this was 8 days before we signed him, that really threw me off. Given Bruce Arians all his statements prior to the signing, so it's just going to be interesting to see how this plays forward. Obviously he's an elite talent. He's shown it the last week he showed it, and I'd still love to have him on this team, but you just can't do this. This was 8 days prior to being signed, so you got to think they were already in conversations, or somebody had reached out to him prior to this happening. So for him to go and do that, knowing that the Buccaneers or the Seahawks or somebody he was on somebody's radar, just shows that he's not ready. It just doesn't feel like he's ready.
Yeah, I mean, and again, that's the concern at this juncture. How does it affect the locker room? How does he affect it? It's not just on the field, because we know how supremely talented he is, but off the field. And, of course, if there is something where the NFL comes out and suspends him, more than likely Coach Arians has talked about it this year, where basically he said that he would cut his ties. Let's go out to Jim. Jim, welcome back to the Evolution. You're on with yours truly, along with Tyler Bradshaw, newest member of Bucs Report. What do you have to say?
Hey, do you think they're gonna cut Antonio Brown if he gets suspended by the NFL?
I do. I sadly as it is, I do think if he gets suspended by the NFL, they will cut him.
Yeah,
I do. And even Coach Arians mentioned that this year that the situation with the civil trial, if he's convicted of that, he's maybe not a fit on this team.
Okay. So the NFL had no clue about this until the reporter reported it.
Well, the Bucs, they knew about it. They came out and said they knew about the situation. The NFL did not. So I don't know. I don't know what to think about it. I honestly don't.
Like what?
In like
you're part of the NFL?
What now?
The Buccaneers are part of the NFL.
Well, yes, they're the team, but Brown has to basically report it to the NFL, and it didn't happen. And then on top of it, there was some probation there from Florida standards, and even Jenna mentioned it. You really only have to prove what 50%. You don't even have to prove that much to know that there was an incident, and this incident alone could have violated the probation. So it's not just the NFL; it's the Florida law. If this guy violated his probation, he's going to jail.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and what the other, I mean, obviously the whole thing's disturbing, but the back end of it that maybe some people don't know about is it wasn't reported because he apparently threatened or this lady felt threatened by something he said. If she would have reported it, he made some sort of threat to harm her in any sort of way. So it's definitely a serious situation. And like I said, I don't see the Bucs cutting him unless the NFL hands down that suspension, and then he's gone. And that probably will be the end of his career.
Yeah, probably be the end of his career. And it's a shame because you could see how talented he is, but pattern of behavior. And just like Tyler mentioned, if there was some threats, there's been threats in the past.
Yeah.
Women off the field. That's the reason why he's in hot water right now. That's why I kind of laugh when people say, well, it really doesn't matter what he does off the field. Yes, it does. That's the reason why he didn't get a job in the first place. It absolutely all matters. You have to walk the line. You are on thin ice. You're on that thin ice for a reason. It's because of the pattern of behavior off the field. He's got to get it in check, and hopefully the NFL doesn't suspend him, because I definitely think he's a resource and a weapon, a secret weapon for this Bucs team, and will only get better. But if he is, I would not be surprised if the Bucs cut him. Just my opinion. Jim, what else?
Oh, okay. Well, I don't know, man. This is deeper than it looks.
It is. It always is. And there's always more to the story than what you originally hear. Just because they didn't press charges, just because the Bucs knew, doesn't mean the NFL doesn't know. The NFL knows everything. And if they don't know everything, eventually they will find out about it. And if they do, look out, especially with the code of conduct representing the NFL shield. Good stuff, Jim. Let me go ahead and fire those cannons for you right there. Thanks a lot for the call, and we will keep you abreast of the situation, my friend, okay?
All right, thank you.
All right. And he's exactly right. A lot of people looked at it non-story. It's a story. Unfortunately.
It is a story, and it's kind of weird for Bruce to say we're beating a dead horse here. Well, we're not. This horse is, this is what Antonio Brown is known for. Unfortunately, it's not his play on the field. It's ultimately been taken over by his lifestyle off the field and his problems off the field. So it's weird to hear Bruce say some of the things he said after what he had said previously in the past before signing, and that this guy has to be a model citizen or else he's gone. And prior to that, him saying, no, there's no way this guy's ever going to be a fit on our team. So Bruce is kind of jumping all over the place, but I think that's just the coach in him wanting to maintain a guy of this elite level.
And I also think it's the Brady effect. I think Tom Brady signed off on it, and that's why I'm willing to give it a chance, especially with Brown living in his house. Good stuff, Tyler Bradshaw. Go ahead, give us a prediction. I don't know if we're going to have you on the pre-show, so give me a prediction. Bucs versus the Rams on Monday Night Football. Why are they going to win, or why are they going to lose?
I think this is the week they get that primetime monkey off their back, and I think it's going to be a pretty big win, to be honest with you. I just have one of those gut feelings where I think the defense is going to show up. I think Jared Goff's going to be rattled. I think our offensive line's going to hold up again. I think Rojo is going to continue to get the ball, and it's just going to open everything up. And going forward, like Chris Gronkowski said, I think last week when we played the Saints, that was kind of the game you needed. Unfortunately, it happened to a team that we really needed to beat in a week we really needed to win. But you need that slap in the face throughout the year, at least one of them, to bring everybody back down to earth and get everybody level-headed and realize there's some flaws on this team. And I think that happened last week. And moving forward, I think it's very, very, very possible that this team ends up 13-3, and I think that starts this week. I'm gonna go 34-17 Tampa Bay.
Nice. I like it. There you go. Tyler Bradshaw right there here on the Evolution of Sports Talk Television. Where can they follow you on Twitter?
You can follow me, Bradshaw2 on Twitter, Tyler Bradshaw on Facebook. Just reach out, anybody at any time. Let's just chat. Any sport, we can talk, especially you Tampa fans. We can talk about the new Tampa Bay Raptors. How about that, Peter?
Unbelievable turn of events that's going on here. But if you're an NBA fan and you don't like the Magic and don't want to travel to Orlando, you won't have to now. The Toronto Raptors are coming to Tampa this year, so hopefully they have some fans. We'll see how that works out. But the reason why, of course, some restrictions with COVID protocols going on in Canada, so they decided to make it easier and go to Tampa. So we'll see how that all plays out here coming up in 2021. Tyler, thanks a lot for your time here on the Sports Web, powered by 320solar.com. All right.
Thanks, Peter. You have a good night, man.
All right, man. Good stuff there. Good stuff as always. One of our newest members of Bucs Report. So Tim says, it's a simple statistic, but it equates to wins. It does. I'm predicting a 50 burger. I like it. Tabitha says, hey, Peter, what's going on? So first and foremost, I want to thank everybody for making this possible on a nightly basis with the Sports Web on Bucs Report. It's been an absolute joy to do this for the last couple years. It's flown by, but it's been absolutely sometimes emotional with web heads and people and sponsors getting on and former football players. It's an absolute joy. If you don't know, my father, 2017 passed away. Of course, it was his anniversary yesterday. The reason why I mention this is because not only was he my father, but I called him the greatest caller of all time on the Sports Web. He started off as Rich in Clearwater. Did this show starting out on WTAN 106.1, 1340 AM. We had this idea coming up with it because it was tough to get calls. We were on a 1,000-watt radio station. Here was a man who was my hero. Here was a man who sat me down when I was 8 years old and made me a Bucs fan and made me a football fan in general. And always told me that if I wanted to do this, that I could do it. I just had to put my mind to it. I couldn't be all about talking about it. I had to do it. He absolutely commanded that from me. He pushed me to the limits where I never thought I was going to go. And then eventually I got the confidence where I was able to do this show myself. I didn't necessarily have to have co-hosts, but it's always nice to have friends to talk to. There's one moment where I remember where Lovie Smith just gets fired. Sean the Sports Don had something come up. Sometimes that happens when you're in radio, so you have to run on the fly. I wasn't going to ask my father to do it. I was going to do it myself. But at that moment, seeing as he was a caller and we had this plan of him stirring it up, we had to go for it. Of course, it was always a part of my grand plan to make my dad a part of this show. You see, I thought he missed out on his true calling of being a sports broadcaster. He was one of the smartest men I ever met in my life. There would be times where I would have conversations with him because him and my mom were divorced, and my mom would take me to where he was working, which he worked in the restaurant industry, Hardee's, and places at night. And to buy time because he had to drive to Bradenton Beach or Madeira Beach because it was a long way, we would talk. And these conversations were unbelievable. In fact, it's the reason why I do this show on a nightly basis on Bucs Report. We have these conversations all the time, these great conversations about who is the greatest quarterback of all time, who is the greatest running back of all time, in my opinion. Kid, what did you think about the Bucs this year? Oh, they're going to be a playoff team, as I would unbiasedly say, if you will. And he would look at me and he would say, you're a damn homer. You know that's not true at all. He taught me about the game. He taught me about sports. He taught me about how to do this show. And if it wasn't for him, the evolution of sports talk television would not come to be. It would not. He gave me the idea one night. You have to stand out, son. You can't be like everybody else. You can't do what everybody else is doing. You have to change it up. You have to change the game. You have to make them pay attention. When he talked, I paid attention. Because to me, he had the voice of God. I never liked my voice, but when I heard my dad talk, I had to pay attention. And what did he say? He said, son, you got to make sure the fan wants to come back. They want to come back, and they want to pay attention to what you have to say. They want to be a part of the show. They want to be a superstar. You got to treat them like that. So we came up with the idea, not only producing this character of Rich from Clearwater who would stir it up and come on, but anybody that called, we would play theme music, whatever they wanted. Nobody could figure it out. I always played Darth Vader for my father. They didn't know. They didn't know he was my father. Eventually, they had to pick it up, and I revealed it when he passed away from his battle with brain and lung cancer. He fought hard. He was a smart man, and I really appreciate him, and he's a hero and definitely a big part of the sports web. We talked about how you treat the fan. And I feel like that's missing in sports broadcasting these days. And that's why it's so special for me to say that I'm so proud to be a part of Bucs Report and the sports web, because we give the fan the opportunity to be what my father wanted the fans to be, a star. And Bucs Report and this platform has given me the opportunity to do what he raised me to be, a great sports broadcaster. I'm your host, Peter Blake. Do 3 things for me. Bring your passion. Bring your excitement. Just don't bring any nonsense. I'll see you later, guys. Evolution of Sports Talk Television live here nightly on Bucs Report. It's the Sports Web. I'm your host, Peter Blake, giving you something to think about on tonight's show. Bring your passion, bring your excitement, just don't bring any nonsense. Will you shut up and be quiet?
Going solar with 320 may cost you nothing down, but the work we do is not a $0 job. With a 10-year roof penetration warranty and solar panels guaranteed for 25 years, you can have peace of mind knowing we will do the job right every time without question. .320 Solar. Power up.
Mike, how you feel about 7-3?
I feel good, man. I'll feel better if we 8-3.
CG? Hell yeah, 8-3, baby. Working to it. Rams next.
Touchdown!
Just because I let it slide doesn't mean it isn't pulling on my heart until it's almost white. 'Cause I wanna let you feel strong.
Back in business again here, leading 26-17 live here from the Deck Bar and Grill. Bucs fans, how do you like this today? You like it?